If you've ever been present when the market gets J-Pow'd, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Market Edge Live. What a day we had yesterday. What a call we had from the group yesterday. Our group just really getting it done yet again. Just absolutely awesome. Awesome stuff. We're going to go ahead and break it down. We got a ton of stuff to do today. Jam-packed Thursday here. 2 guests, stocks, news, tons of stuff going on. Let's get it. Good morning, folks, and happy Thursday, December 19th. We are in the home stretch to Christmas here. And we had a pretty big day in the market yesterday, so we're going to go ahead and break all of that stuff down here today. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. White chocolate mocha, you know we're starting off the day right with that. Drew, good morning. Big of Bees, good morning. Welcome back. Conditionally accepted, good morning. Bobby, good morning. Ivan, good morning. Hugh and Bernard, good morning. And Hustle and Bustle, of course. Good morning, folks. Thanks for joining us here. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. So, good morning, Pablo. Great day for volatility trade. Indeed it is. And actually, just kind of looking around here, we might have another good day on our hands here. So just a quick look around the board. S&P futures up nearly a full percent here, up 0.87%. Dow futures up 0.75%, and NASDAQ also leading the way up 0.83%. So lots of stuff coming back here, or at least so far. There's green arrows. Really, the big question to me is, are we going to hold some of these pre-market gains, right? How many times have we seen the pre-market be strong, especially after a sell-off, only to really kind of revisit some of those lows later? We'll see if we get that here today, or if these gains hold and we get a little bit of a snapback from yesterday's sell-off. Also, keep in mind, we're going to have 2 guests today. So in about a half an hour, just under a half an hour, we're going to have Jeffrey Hirsch from the Stock Traders Almanac joining us here today. We're going to talk about the Stock Almanac. We're going to ask him for his 2025 outlook. And then we're also going to have Paul Meeks on shortly before the open to break down the Micron earnings, which we got last night. So really looking forward to that. 2 A-plus guests here. Cannot wait to get that done. Okay. Let's start with the rest of the market. Let me go ahead and share my screen here for you, folks. Bang. Let's take a look at the SPY. Look at that candle yesterday. Look at that candle, folks. SPY Powell triggers market carnage. It's been a while since we've been able to use the word carnage here, but Powell triggered it yesterday. VIX spiked 58%. Stocks plummet. The dollar hit 2-year highs. Bitcoin nosedived, although Bitcoin still held 100K. So we had that nice, huge move recently on Bitcoin. And despite the nasty pullback and sell-off yesterday, Bitcoin held above 100K. Looking at the Bitcoin futures chart here today, 102,400 on those futures. So green arrows there as well, up about 1.5% here. So good stuff there. Also, Jim Cramer warned of, quote, incredible panic, end quote, as Jerome Powell's hawkish outlook sends stocks into free fall. Quote, people are throwing away good and bad, end quote. So a couple of things here. Number one, when we have days like that, I think it's going to be really important to not do exactly that, right? Don't throw out the good stuff with the bad stuff. Days like yesterday, when we have a sell-off as quickly as we did, everything was getting pounded. I mean, I looked across my portfolio here, and literally there was one point where every position that I had was down, except some junky, thin Chinese stock that was up very, very slightly. So when we have days like that, I think it's going to be important not to panic. Now, we'll sleep on it. We'll not react emotionally to what we're seeing on the screen, and then we'll reassess the next day. And that's what we're doing here today. So we see green arrows across the board. We'll see if that represented a buying opportunity. We'll track all of that stuff here. It's going to be really, really important to kind of just stay as calm as possible and all of that. So Just I know Jim is he's polarizing, right? There are some people that love him. There are some people that don't love him. But I did want to bring those comments here. I don't know that there's going to be an incredible panic. We'll see how that all plays out here. But I did want to reiterate, throwing away good stuff with bad stuff, not the best idea. There have been times where I've been part of a sell-off and I'm like, I'm just going to get rid of all of this stuff. And then shortly afterwards, a lot of that stuff either came back or my thesis played out, and I was just shaken out of that. So I am proud to report, despite not being ready to really kind of pounce on the short side yesterday, some of our chat members here did do that. We actually had a really encouraging happy hour session kind of discussing that yesterday, and I look forward to hearing what people did here today as well. While I wasn't set up for the short side, what I'm proud about is that I didn't make any rash decisions with some of my longs. And the longs that I have, I still feel good about for the long term. It's not as if the only trade that really got obliterated from this is going to be that McDonald's trade that I took, because that kind of got wiped out. Now we still have time into January, so we'll see. But didn't make any knee-jerk reactions, and I think that's going to be important. We talked a little bit about crypto here. Actually, I see some volume flowing into crypto there. Kind of caught my eye. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin fall after the Fed shows no interest for piling into BTC. So the Fed doesn't look like they're going to be adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. That caused crypto, I guess, to move down. To me, that's okay. That's kind of a non-story. Top analyst says the sentiment is shifting. Quote, 2025 suddenly looks a lot less rosy, end quote. Well, we're going to talk to Jeffrey Hirsch about 2025, and we're going to see how that is. I'm going to remain optimistic, though. We got some talk yesterday, or we got some comments yesterday about being positive. So you know what? We're going to live up to that. I am absolutely going to be positive going into 2025, and we are going to make the best of that situation. That much I can promise you. We talked a little bit about before we actually get into Micron, I just wanted to address the chart here for SPY. And then we'll go ahead and flip over to Micron. This is the end result of the day yesterday. We were pretty much sitting right above that 20-day moving average. It was rather uneventful until the SPY, right? A little bit of a down. We kind of came back to even. Didn't really put in any huge move. And then the hawkish cut happened, and we got a huge move down on all that. So this is the result of the move. Now, when this was happening, it obviously looked really, really terrible. First of all, we went right through the 50. Like, there was almost no support there at the 50-day moving average. We absolutely closed beneath it. Today, we're trading back up towards it. This is one of the things that I want to watch. Do we actually close above that do we actually close above that 50-day moving average, or is it just kind of a test and then a resumption to some of the downside levels? Next downside level I have, obviously it's going to be yesterday's low, so I've got that at 585.89, but the level beneath that is going to be this 582.30. This was a previous breakout level that we had been monitoring for a long time. Knew that this level would come into play on the backside of the move. It appears that that's here. We'll see if we go down and test that level. So yesterday's low is going to be your first low spot here, 585.89, and then 582.30 is going to be that support level right beneath it. We'll see if either of those come into play here today. To the upside, as mentioned, we really want to close above that 50 to kind of reverse this. The next level that I've got above that, probably going to be your 600 round level. The 20-day is just above that at 601. Okay, let's talk briefly about Micron. Remember, we are going to cover this a little bit more a little bit later, but here we go. So first of all, I got to say that the hypothetical Micron trade that we outlined here on the day we had all those tech issues literally worked textbook. Right? We moved above the 50-day. That is the entry. We went right to the 200-day. We stopped there. That's going to be your sell point. And then yesterday, we had the huge candle here that really kind of took us down right to that 50-day. So where are we going to finish here today? We got this price. Got this price right down here, about $91, down 12% after those earnings. So where do we go next? Do we actually touch that 500-day? Do we bounce back here towards some of the moving averages that got obliterated yesterday? We shall see here with Micron. Like I mentioned, we are going to ask Paul Meeks about that here today. Really quickly, it was a revenue miss. It was an EPS beat. There was soft guidance, which is one of the reasons that really kind of sold off there, and shares sank as the consumer market turns weaker in the near term. All right. Next here we have Lennar, ticker LEN. And we talked a lot about those home builders. We had Matt Maley telling us about the home builders pulling back. That was an amazing call. Hopefully you folks were able to profit from that. Lennar here reported earnings yesterday. Rough day to report earnings yesterday after hours. Holy smokes. And we talked about this. This was kind of in no man's land, right? That it was the toll chart that really kind of looked better. We had that stock pretty much right at that 200-day yesterday. As you can see here, we really kind of pushed away from that. So that short here is working. It's yet to be seen if we make it down to that 500-day at 99.5 thereabouts. The Lennar chart, though, was already pretty advanced. We had already started to break away from the 200. We had already lost the trend line here in Lennar. And then yesterday's candle really kind of just goes ahead and pushes us down. Let's see. Did we actually print down there? Yes. Here we are. So we actually printed 130 here. If you go to the daily chart, you can see we are way under this. So we are about right here at the lows on Lennar. So this trade worked out. If you ended up taking that, we'll see if there's more downside here. But Lennar reporting earnings, their stock tumbled as the home builder flags, quote, far more challenging, end quote, housing market than anticipated. Now we're hearing talks about rate cuts slowing. I see a question here, 2 cuts in 2025. You know what? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that when we get the full group here. Maybe there's no cuts next year. We'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. The Fed says they're going to be data dependent. They definitely have to be ultra data dependent now, given everything that's going on. So we'll see how many cuts we have, but that can't be good for the housing market. Mortgage rates already back above 7%. So we'll see. We'll see how this all goes. Also today, after hours, as if we didn't have enough action here today and enough stuff to digest after the Fed. After hours, we have 2 earnings reports here today. FedEx, ticker FDX, which yesterday just lost the 200 here. Yikes. We're either going to recapture this or we're going to continue to trade down towards that 500 here. FedEx braces for the Q2 earnings, quote, one of the most consequential quarters in years, end quote, says one of the analysts. So this is going to be reporting here tonight. Right after the bell. We'll see how FedEx does. If any of you are trading this, I'd like to hear how you're trading this, what direction you're trading this, why you're trading this, the whole 9 yards. I definitely want to hear all of that. The other thing that's going on here is we have Nike earnings after the bell here today. I know we've talked a lot about Nike recently on the show. Nike definitely seems to have fans and detractors alike. So we'll see what their earnings report gives us later today. Analysts say the athletic brand early in the turnaround journey with the new CEO. So we'll see if he's given any leeway, if you will. Stock here at 77.5. We're actually right beneath the 50-day moving average, and we're pretty much right on that 20-day moving average. So a pop here on those earnings. I've got to say that this 84.5 level that the 200-day is at, that is absolutely not out of the question if the stock really has something good to say here. And then if we break lower here, remember, we're really looking for that 70 to 71 area here on Nike as a support. It's only 6 to 7 points away from where we're at right now. So one of those levels is going to come into play here, and we'll see which one that is. So Nike and FedEx, your 2 stocks reporting earnings after the close today. Again, just as kind of a call out here to the group, if anyone is trading those here today, I definitely want to hear about it. Let's talk about it. Let's hear about what you think, how you're actually going to capture that, and what your trade plan is. I'm definitely interested in that. Okay, the quantum theme that we have been seeing here is continuing. Okay, so quantum computing, Rigetti, D-Wave, they all skyrocket like 300% in 5 sessions after Google unveils that Willow chip. But analysts are urging caution, quote, not every TikTok guitarist is the next Taylor Swift. You don't say. There's no question that that's the case. These quantum stocks, you know, one of the discussions that we had in happy hour here that a lot of market veterans have been saying is that when you see some of these runs and these smaller kind of speculative names like the quantum names are, I guess you could even throw some smaller AI names in there. When you see some of these speculative runs, a lot of the time that signals the market top. And given the way the SPY performed yesterday, kind of felt like that post FOMC. So just something to keep in mind here. This Rigetti daily chart, I tell you what, that candle yesterday certainly looks like a reversal candle. I know stock's up about 1.25% here in the pre-market. We'll see where these finish. I don't, I would be careful with these. These are definitely going to be on our list here today for movers and stocks that we're likely to kind of look at and maybe make some day trades on. But just mind what's going on here with these. RGTI is Rigetti. That's the one we're taking a look at here. Next one's going to be QUBT. You can see this had just really everything that you see here on the daily chart looks awesome, right? Just these huge power candles into a new range, massive, massive gains in a very short amount of time, expanding volume to accompany that. It is worth noting RSI here totally overcooked here at 85. These stocks are definitely due for a pullback. Now, quantum computing here, QUBT, down almost 5% here in the pre-market. So this definitely showing some weakness here today. We will be watching these, but I just urge everyone to be careful with all of these. They have run a good amount in a very, very short amount of time. So just kind of factor that into your risk profile. Of course, QBTS is going to be D-Wave. This also in the exact same situation here. This one's actually up 6.25%. You got the expanding volume. You got the huge move here and the huge gains. Now, we are starting to see some wicks here at the top. Also, this candle here, it doesn't quite look like the Rigetti candle, but it is kind of close. You can see the very next day, we actually did have a pretty huge run. So just because it's kind of showing a topping formation doesn't mean for sure that it's going to top. But again, I just want to urge everyone to be cautious here. I don't want anyone to really get hurt by some of these high flyer names. Speaking of high flyer names, do we have Lion Atlas in the house yet here today? I haven't seen him, and I would imagine that if he was here, we would have heard him. But let's talk about high flyers here. Jay Walker, you got it. Well, let's not talk about Nook today, please. I'm sorry, man. We're going to have to. All right. We're absolutely going to have to, because this is craziness. Now, we traded this yesterday. I'm sure you guys all have your stories from yesterday. I did scalp this a little bit yesterday. I certainly did not participate in all of this massive, massive run. But the real mention here, the real thing to call out here was our chat member, Lion Atlas, telling us for really a few days that this NUKK was going to do exactly what drug did. It was going to have a huge move. He assigned a $40 price target. Several of us laughed at him, myself included, not in like a disparaging way, but just oh my God, how does this 50-cent stock going to go to $40 or whatever it is? Well, looks like Lion sold himself short a little bit, as this thing did print 80 here in the pre-market. Looks like we tried to trade up to 80 in the after hours. Just an absolutely wild session here on NUKK. So this is actually up another 27.4%. Oh my gosh. This, we talked about this yesterday. The CEO rolled up another company that he owned. And this just feels shady. This does not feel great at all. I'm sure folks are going to be looking at this today, and I totally understand why. But we really want to make sure that we stay safe, right? We really want to be careful with this. I would say if you're going to trade this today, if you get gains in it, don't be afraid to take them. And don't oversize yourself. Don't put yourself in a position where this can really go against you. You saw how fast this moved on the way up. Well, it can move down even faster than that. So just be really careful. Not saying you can't trade it, but make sure that you have your risk parameters aligned in order to do that. This one's definitely going to be volatile. We've seen that the last couple of days. Now, anyone that's already traded this yesterday, anyone that had a good trade with this and all that stuff, congratulations, because this thing really, really ran. And in fact, if you bought this in the morning, got tied up with your regular job, and then checked back in the afternoon, you probably had an eye-popping reaction to what was going on here. I know I did, and I wasn't even in it. So NUKK definitely going to be on deck here today. One of the other things that we can do as a group here, especially during the regular session, see if there are any plays moving in sympathy with this. That's just how it goes sometimes. So wild stuff here. Be careful. But as always, we are definitely going to take a look at that. Okay. Next, let's talk about Palantir. We did have some Palantir news here. Palantir strengthens its Army partnership, adds AI and data enhancements in a $618.9 million contract. So it's not a new contract, but they are kind of expanding it. You can see Palantir here, real rough. A lot of those high flyers really kind of moved down yesterday with the down move after the FOMC. If we zoom in here, let me make this a little bit easier for us to see. If we zoom in here, you can see when we traded down yesterday, we traded right down to that 20-day moving average. All of these moving averages are pretty expanded here, pretty fanned out because of the huge move to the upside that we've had here in Palantir. This came in to the 20-day moving average that found some support there. You can see yesterday in the after hours when we got some of this news on the expanded contract, Palantir traded up, and it's drifting up a little bit higher here today. So I would imagine if the market holds together here today, Palantir probably another chance at moving back towards this $76, $77 level here. We'll see. Good news here on Palantir, really didn't break down. But again, just be careful. Given what we saw yesterday, we really want to make sure that we're being safe here today and just kind of protecting ourselves. So Palantir, that's the news that's going on, and that's what's causing it to move. So, okay, that takes care, I think, of all of the news stories that I had here today. Good morning, Robert. Good morning, everyone else that I missed. 3D, Wiss, Sean, Jennifer. Who else did I miss here? Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Paul, Daniel, good morning to all of you folks. Really good stuff. And again, thanks for being here. So, okay, got about 8 minutes until we talk to Mr. Jeffrey Hirsch. But until then, just wanted to give you some more lay of the lands here. We do have some economic events coming here today. We have the initial jobless claims at 8:30. Philly Fed manufacturing data comes today. Existing home sales comes today at 10. Natural gas storage comes at 10:30. And then tomorrow we get PCE data. Be ready for that. And then next week, of course, is going to be Christmas. We have a half day on Christmas Eve. That's Tuesday, the 24th. And then the market is closed on the 25th. So what that means for the show here is we're definitely doing a show Christmas Eve day. That always sounds fun. We're going to do a show that morning. We're going to stay off of the eggnog and the adult beverages until Christmas Eve, obviously. And then Christmas Day, y'all folks have the day off. No market on Christmas Day, no show on Christmas Day. We will return to the market and the show December 26th, the day after Christmas. So when you're enjoying that time with your family and friends, make sure that you keep yourself all right enough to make it back on the 26th. We are definitely going to have some fun there. Now, I do think that the market is going to kind of be a ghost town the 26th and 27th, that Thursday and Friday. It'll be interesting to see how much volume we actually get, how many traders are at their desk. But do not be dissuaded, because if we have anything that's really kind of moving, the light volume should make for some pretty decent moves here. So we should still have some stuff to do, even if the market is slow. So just kind of a look ahead here to the economic points today, tomorrow, and then what the schedule looks like next week. Okay, we also had some recent earnings here. Let's go ahead and talk about those real quick. We're going to start with ticker ACN, Accenture. Here you go. Accenture trading higher here today. Accenture shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q1 financial results and raised fiscal year 25 revenue growth outlook. So we had a GAAP EPS of $3.59 that beat the $3.39 estimate. Nice little beat there. And sales of $17.69 billion beat the $17.12 billion estimate. So yeah, beat on the top and the bottom line. You had good guidance here. Stock is up 5.5% here yesterday. I know we talked about this one with Anne Marie. I did not take this trade. I can't remember if the options were not all that great for it, but if you did take that here, it looks like this is working here to the upside. Looking at the actual price here, we did reclaim the 50. So if we continue to trade higher here, we'll see what happens at 372 and then that 377 and change up there. So we definitely have some more work to do here on Accenture if we're going to hold this level. Good news here is that we pretty much traded right down to the 100 and we stopped there. I know we broke it broke through it a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, we're right there. And now we've recaptured the 50. So it'll be interesting to see if we have kind of a bullish stance going here on ticker ACN Accenture. One more that we want to cover here, and then we'll move to our guest, is going to be CarMax. That's ticker KMX. CarMax shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q3 earnings and sales here. GAAP EPS of 81 cent beat the 64 cent estimate. Sales of 6.223 billion beat the estimate of 6.04 billion. So you can see CarMax here up 7%, $87. Looks like we're going to try to take out these recent highs. This level also goes back to March earlier this year, July of last year, and probably further back than that. Yep. 2022 support level here on CarMax. So we're at a pretty key spot. We'll see if we break out or break down from here on ticker KMX. Okay, folks, I know it's a little bit early. Can I get a thumbs up from my guest in the back? Are we ready to go? We are ready to go. Let's give a warm Benzinga Market Edge welcome to our special guest here, Jeffrey Hirsch. Hello, Jeffrey. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Pleasure to be with you. Jeffrey Hirsch, CEO of Hirsch Holdings and the editor-in-chief of the Stock Traders Almanac and publisher of Almanac Investor at stocktradersalmanac.com. Let me go ahead and throw that in the chat. Jeffrey, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm out of town. I'm doing my annual forecast today, and I'm working from a discreet location away from the usual office and home office.
Okay, well, that discreet location looks pretty awesome. Hopefully you and family are having a great holiday season. Got to be honest, I'm extremely excited to talk to you about this here today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Almanac and what you do, and then we'll go into that.
Well, the Almanac was started by my father in the 60s. The 2025 edition is the 58th annual edition. I'm 58, so I'm as old as a book. I was, born, bred, weaned, raised on cycles, patterns, seasonalities. So back in the 60s, Yale, my late father, who you may not know, we lost at the ripe old age of 98 years old a few years ago, in 21. So he was working at a place called Indicator Digest, where they did all the different indicators and seasonal patterns and other cycles and different analysis. And he wanted to take all of the markets, patterns, and put them in a calendar format so he could follow the market schedule along with his own, hence the birth of the Stock Traders Almanac. And it's caught on, we've been doing it for, straddling 7 different decades from the 60s to the, roaring 2020s or whatever we want to call these. So we cover presidential cycle, best month of the year, best and worst month, not sell in May and go away. I like to say, buy in October and get your portfolio. So we're still working even after yesterday.
I like that. I might reuse that. I like that one a lot.
We've quoted it. It's a place to remember what the market has done, what it tends to do. It's not perfect. Nothing works 100% of the time, but it's a great source of market patterns and data. And it's available.
Okay, and like I said, I threw that link in the chat. We also have a QR code here on the screen, so if you want to get access to that, check out what it's all about. Please go ahead and do that. Look, I kind of want to just start here. Yeah. What's your outlook for 2025?
I mean, it's bullish. The outlook in the 2025 Almanac, I wrote it in June. It's for about an 8 to 12% move with some chop. I think we're probably going to get see what President Trump and the new charge of Congress are going to do or are going to be able to do. So Q1 chop, 3 as well. I think we'll have some trouble during the usual weak summer period, August, September. But overall, post-election years have been better since World War II and the best year since 85 of the 4-year cycle. The range of the different iterations, I mean, there's a chart on page 11. I don't know if you got a copy yet. Of the post-election year seasonal patterns. And, there's a range of about 8-12%. I think that's still doable. I'm working on that forecast today with my partner, Christopher, and we're going to, dive into a little bit deeper what happened yesterday, but it doesn't change a whole lot. I think yesterday was a bit of a overreaction and disappointment to the Fed not giving everybody everything they wanted. I'm not convinced they're only going to do 2 next year, but we've already been out there saying they're going to be less cuts, and not sure that the economy really needs it, except that the Fed said they were going to do it, so they have to do it, or else they look like they don't know what they're doing. So I think this is the Fed walking and talking the market down off of the expectations of a cut every meeting. Our expectation when I did the outlook last month and had our members webinar was for a quarter cut every quarter when they release the economic projections like they did today. So March, June, September. Maybe we won't get one every quarter, but I mean, at a bare minimum, we're not getting anything before March, as far as I can tell.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I think one of the discussions that we had here with our group yesterday is why'd they even cut yesterday? Doesn't really seem like they need it. But to your point there about credibility, that's well said there. It's all right. One other thing that I wanted to ask you about, you spoke a little bit about seasonality and trends and all of that. One of the things that I've noted, I kind of want you to speak about that a little bit more, if you wouldn't mind. One of the things that I noticed is that this year there didn't really seem to be some of the seasonality trends that we were that I was following really didn't seem to hold up. And
like so what?
I'm wondering if I'm sorry?
Which ones didn't hold up in your view?
One of the ones that I actually traded was Walmart seasonality in December, normally poor. And this December, it traded up what felt like every single day. And obviously that didn't work. There are a couple of others. What do you see here? What really makes the most sense to you? And what do you think is going to happen early next year in terms of seasonality? Are we going to get it where it makes sense? Are we going to see some outliers? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, it's interesting that you talk about individual stock seasonality, which I appreciate. You're using it, but with one stock, you have any other type of force or factor that can influence it. So you're going to have things just like you're going to have with the market, where there are other forces that override seasonality, which in itself becomes an indicator. I mean, April was down. April's a normally strong month. That was the only down month so far until December. We'll see. December is supposed to be a positive month. Small caps are supposed to be doing very well. They're not right now. The month's not over yet. It's definitely on my radar. People are getting concerned. But the beginning of December is notoriously weak, as it has been, as there's profit taking, tax loss selling. Even though the market was up so much, there's still some people selling losers for tax loss purposes and taking profits. So, I mean, seasonality worked better than people will give it credit for this year. We didn't have a downdraft as much during the summer months, but we did peak in mid-July like we normally do, with NASDAQ leading the way there. And we had our seasonal sell signal for MACD around June for the NASDAQ using our MACD trigger around it was like June 25th, and then we had a buy on October 11th. So NASDAQ gained about 3.5% during that period of time. So it kind of worked pretty well. Not perfectly. The market didn't sell in May and go away. We don't. I mentioned that's not my game. But most of the market's gains were made, or a good chunk of them are made in the best months of the year, November to April, November to June for NASDAQ. So what I'm seeing here and what I'm looking at is a combination of expectations and indicator tracking. So the Santa Claus rally that everyone's talking about and has spoken about was, let me just make this clear, was invented by Yale Hirsch, my father, in 1972. It's in the 73 Almanac. I got pictures of the table of contents that I posted up out there for everyone to see. He also invented the thing called the January barometer, which is, as S&P goes for January, so goes the year. We can get into the stats of that, which often gets confused with the January effect, which is small caps outperforming large caps. One of the things everyone's upset about right now. I myself would like to see small caps outperforming if they or at least performing and making a new high. If they don't, it's something we got to be concerned about. But I'm not, overreacting like the market did yesterday to the sell-off. Yes, it was a sizable move, and the biggest streak since 74, which happened to be the bottom in 74. But Santa Claus rally is an indicator. It's not a trading strategy. Yes, you can look for a positive year-end move, but if it doesn't show up, as Yale said, if Santa Claus should fail to call, bears may come to Broad and Wall. In case any of the young folk out there don't know what Broad and Wall is, that's the intersection of Broad Street and Wall Street where the New York Stock Exchange exists. But that's the beginning of our January indicator trifecta. We take which is the last 5 days of the year and the first 2 of the new year, and that's it. It's a short 7-day trading period. Years when it doesn't show up, market tends to be a little bit weaker, sometimes bear markets, but usually a time you can buy cheaper, lower prices later in the year. Then there's the first 5 days indicator, something we didn't invent, but we always featured in the Almanac for 58 years. Combined the 3 of them, we have the January indicator trifecta. When all 3 are up, the 7-day Santa Claus rally, the first 5 days of the year, full month January barometer, the market is up 90.6% of the time, the S&P, for an average gain of 17.7%, 19 out of 31 years. I mean, 29-3, pretty solid record. When any of them are down, results are reduced. We leave it, the final say to the January barometer. If the first 2 are down like they were this year, January barometer up kind of gives you the green light to go ahead. E.L. Hirsch, GOAT. Very cool. Thank you. The legend, as we call him. But or call him. So that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, the market's got to show itself. It's got some traits, and if not, it means that there's some other forces at play here that might, take over. So we're going to be looking at that, and we'll wait for the first 5 days and a full month. But right now, we're still bullish. I'm still looking for more highs by year end. It's a little bit tougher to accomplish after the sell off here, but at least our forecast for 2024 was gains of 15 to 25%, our best case scenario. Here we are at that still.
Perfect. Okay, so that's a ton of good stuff in there. First of all, I completely agree. You really don't want to overreact to stuff like we saw yesterday. I too am someone, I'm mostly positioned in small caps. So for my long-term holdings, that kind of hurt yesterday. But really proud of myself for not overreacting. I think that's excellent advice here. There is something here that I would like you to settle, if that's all right. With your father, inventing this Santa Claus rally, we sometimes have discussions here about when it actually is. Can you do me a big favor and set the record straight for when the Santa Claus rally actually takes place?
It is the last 5 trading days of the year plus the first 2 trading days of the new year. That's it.
Okay.
This year it's Christmas Eve, the 24th.
Yep. 24, 26, 27, 30, and 31, and then into January.
Yes. Second and third.
Okay, there you go, folks. We have it officially. Officially, we have it right now. Let the debate be ended right there, Jeffrey. Really appreciate that.
It's on page 118 of the Almanac, and it's also on my blog. And I've said it at least 5 times this year. I'll say it more before the year's up.
Okay, really appreciate that. Okay, what else can people expect from this year's edition of the Almanac?
Oh, well, we have the trifecta in there. There's a bunch of post-election year analysis. Historically, Republican administrations have had a rougher go in post-election years. We have a page on that. However, the bigger damaged years were 57, 69, 73, where we had, Cold War, 57, Vietnam in 69, 73, and much less favorable economic conditions, all 3 plagued by recession. There's charts of post-presidential election years. You can see the different shapes of them. You can look at Trump's previous 2017. You can see the improvement in post-election years since 85, Reagan's second term, which is something we're starting to look at. In general, updates of all the different seasonal patterns, what to expect for any given day of the year. There's a couple other pages on post-election year, how we used to pay the piper in post-election years. Just basic trading advice, sector seasonality, this small cap effect that we're waiting for it to begin right now. I mean, it's something that's on my mind as well as everybody else. So
indeed,
it's packed with information.
Yeah, it sure is. A lot of love here for the Almanac too in the chat. Would you say, or are you comfortable saying, are there any outliers or surprises that we should maybe be ready for in 2025 at any point in the year?
I mean, the thing that we're looking at, and we're going to be putting up some of our projection charts on that, is inflation. I think that's kind of the key economic stat that the market, is going to be. We're not really talking about it so much right now,
Mhm.
but that's what the Fed's worried about, and that's why and you can see it. You go in your expenditures. It's still there. Then there's this bird flu thing. That's
Mhm.
of concern. I'm not ready to get overly concerned about it, but that's adding to inflation with some of the food items. And then there's the political situation. I don't think Mr. Trump is going to do anything to rock the apple cart of the economy or the market. I mean, knowing him, what we know from publicly experiencing him, and he's got a pretty good sized ego. He definitely wants to leave a legacy of economic prosperity in the bull
Mhm.
market, and global stability. So he's I'm not in Bermuda.
Well, look, your undisclosed location is drawing some
It's
interest, so people
disclosed.
are going to
I'm
guess.
in Delaware. I'm in Dewey
That's
Beach.
not so bad either.
No, it's good. I got a couple of friends down here. It's actually getting away with some of my old college friends, but so I'm not with the family. But we took a little walk on the beach while I plan the forecast. But yeah, Trump. We got to be careful what comes. I think he'll be negotiating. He's going to do the art of the deal,
Yep.
and not do anything to rock the apple cart. But inflation is our big concern, and you're seeing the bond market lead the Fed again, and that's kind of what we saw in the last few months with the bond market. Getting the rates getting higher, the 10-year especially, even after the cut. So it's definitely inflation is our concern.
Okay. All right. And that makes sense. I know you talked a lot about rate. It'll be interesting to see what happens in 2025. We're, hearing about slowing rate cuts. Trump obviously wants lower rates. This is a real estate guy. He definitely wants lower rates. It'll be interesting to see how that dynamic ends up
There's Europe
unfolding.
too. I mean, Europe's got some issues going on.
Yeah, it sure does.
There's some political, vacuums over there aside from, Ukraine and stuff. Germany and France have some, just political upheaval. And there's basically a recession going on over there, and they're going to be cutting rates, which will influence us to cut rates as well. So, yeah, it's another thing we're looking at. Europe.
Okay. All right, Jeffrey, first of all, I really appreciate you taking the time here. Is there anything else that you want to mention? Just as a reminder for any of you folks interested there in the chat, I did throw the link to the Almanac there in the chat. QR code on the banner at the top of the screen. Anything else you want to mention about this?
Well, if you come to Almanac.com and you want to take out a subscription, the book comes free with the subscription. And we take all the information in the Almanac, try to turn it into knowledge and recommendations. We've got stock picks, a bunch of small caps. Yes, they got hit yesterday too, like yours. But we do a fundamental screen, technical analysis, and seasonal timing. We've got the signals for the best and worst months, sector switching. We just did a piece on copper and energy, meaning like XLE and XES. So we've got some sector recommendations with ETFs as well as stocks. So check it out. Follow me at Almanac Trader, whatever feed you look at.
Okay, that is awesome. Jeffrey Hirsch, again, thank you so much. CEO of Hirsch Holdings and editor-in-chief of the Stock Traders Almanac and publisher of Almanac Investor at stocktraderalmanac.com. Jeffrey, this is awesome. I look forward to this. Enjoy the rest of your undisclosed location. Hopefully we can get you back for a preview next year as well.
Most definitely. Thanks for having me, Ryan.
You're very welcome, Jeff. Have a great one. Have a good rest of your day, and happy holidays, of course, to you and your family. All right, folks, thanks very much for that. What an awesome guest. We're lucky to have him on, and I appreciate all of the comments there in the chat there regarding that. Again, be sure to check that out. I'm going to go ahead and leave the QR code here on the screen for anyone that is interested. I will go ahead and throw the link in the chat one last time here, but really good stuff there from Jeff on the Stock Traders Almanac. So awesome stuff. And I love bringing guests like that on. I love getting insight from people that have been doing this for a long time. That's really how I've kind of built my market knowledge. I've always been able to listen to people that have more experience than me, and you're always able to take valuable nuggets from them. So really, really awesome stuff. We thank we thank Jeff. Yeah, that was a great guest. Absolutely, Jonathan. Absolutely. So, okay. Really good stuff. Let's get back to the market here. I guess we should roll out the red carpet, should we not? Good morning, Lion Atlas. How are you doing today? You've got a ton of fans here in the chat today after your ridiculous call that you made yesterday on NUKK. Lion, I'm going to lead the mea culpa right here for you. When you first said that this was going to be like drug and this was going to 40, I kind of chuckled. I did kind of chuckle there. Wasn't insulting or anything like that, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, this might go on a crazy run, but 40? I don't know. That sounds crazy. Well, guess what, Lion? We actually printed 80, it looks like, here in the pre-market. Just an absolute monster move here for NUKK. So take a bow, my friend. That was one of the more epic calls I've ever seen. Certainly one of the most epic calls we've had here on this show. And this show is no stranger to really good market and stock calls. So that is something to be proud about. Good morning indeed. Hope that you absolutely killed it on that. All right, folks, we got a little bit of time here before Paul Meeks joins us, but don't worry. Like I mentioned earlier, we got a packed day. So what we're going to do, what are we going to do? You got that right. We're going to bring on the one and only 13. 13, how are you doing here this morning, boss?
Oh, I'm having a pretty decent morning. I apologize in advance if there's a lot of outside noise you hear. We have some folks here spraying gunite because we have a pool being built. So a little bit loud right now. So I apologize for that.
It's actually, I don't think I hear anything, maybe a little bit of background noise, but really nothing. Folks, let me know if you guys hear anything from 13. I'm like, I don't hear it. Sounds good, bro.
But anyway, so that's going on. And we had some movement in the market yesterday, apparently. I don't know if you caught it, but
yeah, I didn't really see anything going on, huh?
Okay. Yeah. So we market looked a little weak yesterday. We were, for as far as the SPY goes, was talking about how 600 would be kind of the line in the sand for me. If we start trading beneath that, then I don't think that we're going to get a repeat of that pattern we've been seeing in the SPY all year. Now, likely because of how big the sell-off was yesterday, we could see a bounce. We are trading a little bit higher than the close yesterday, so already getting that. I think it's still going to be, for me, 600. If we cannot recapture that in a timely manner, then I think we do end up going lower. So just watching to see if we get this rebound or if it actually pulls through and takes us to new all-time highs. But 600 is going to be a big question mark for me. So we need to get back above that first.
Okay, real good stuff there, 13. One of the things that I was mentioning here in the morning, right when I sat down, you were absolutely right. Futures are up off of the lows. They're actually a little bit down from the highs when I had first mentioned that here this morning, but we are up off the lows. Quick look around the board. S&P futures up 0.75% here. Dow futures the same, up 0.75%. And the NASDAQ futures lagging behind slightly there at 0.7%. So your call there about, do we actually, recapture this level? Are we able to go to new highs? That really is going to be the question. Like and that's kind of what I posed here at the beginning. Are we actually able to keep bouncing here, or do we roll back over and retest some of those lows? We just had Jeffrey Hirsch, CEO of Hirsch Holdings and the editor-in-chief of the Stock Traders Almanac on. He had a bullish outlook and was very, very clear that despite yesterday's down move, he still remains bullish for the rest of this year and 2025 on the outlook based on all of the stats there. So, there he had a ton of good stuff. I'm not even going to be able to cover all of this.
I didn't catch everything he said, but what I did, it was great. I hope you have him on again.
Yeah, we definitely are. We definitely are. I'm going to hold him to it. He confirmed he'd be happy to come back next year. We'll see where else we can incorporate him on that. But and I encourage you folks, go back and watch the replay because, like I said, ton of good stuff from Jeff there, and I'm not able to cover it all. Yeah.
Did you happen to ask him, because he is sounding bullish, and ultimately I am as well, but I do want to see more of a corrective move in this market. How much of a pullback or correction was he looking for before he expects more of this bullish activity?
That I did not ask him that. Unfortunately, that would have been a really, really good question. I'm sorry, 13.
No worries.
But you know what? We might actually be able to figure something out there on that. I'm with you though. I'm with you though. I remain bullish. One of the other really good things that he said there is that it is important to not overreact when you have days like this. And this is one of the things that I was saying yesterday too. And this morning, I'm very. It's no secret. A lot of the longer term holdings, the day trading stuff was great yesterday. We had a great day with some of the short term.
Yeah, Lion.
That's for sure.
NUKK.
We're gonna get to NUKK. Don't you worry. We're gonna have plenty of that to talk about here. So I'm not complaining there, but obviously you guys know. I mean, I've talked a lot about it. I have a lot of smaller cap holdings that I'm kind of waiting on. And, we kind of saw IWM really led the way down yesterday. I mean, that thing was down, what 5%? That was just a huge move down. It was down more than any of the other indices here. And as a result, a lot of those small cap stocks got hurt. But what I was the most proud of is that I made no overreactions to any of that. It sucked. It sucked watching some of that. Some of it was, let's call it less than ideal, I suppose, but I didn't make any overreactions to that. And there's a side discussion going on here this morning, and I just kind of want to mention some of this stuff. 3D, you had mentioned here this is a costly overreaction. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. I hope it wasn't for you, but if it is, that's okay, because we have a lesson to learn here, that when you see stuff like this, it's going to be important to not have costly overreactions to that. And it's hard. Don't let anyone fool you. It's hard when you watch your holdings getting absolutely pounded. It's hard not to react emotionally. It's one of the things that we are going to battle here for our entire career. So it doesn't matter if you have a lot of experience or not. This is something that you are going to be dealing with your entire career, and we will do things to try and help you with that. Nobody's going to be able to tell you what the right or the wrong move is, but we can try and develop habits here that are going to help keep you safe. I'm going to start off here with a huge shout out to 13, because one of the things that he and we both do here all of the time, we try to remind you of all of the different lessons that we've learned and all of the different outcomes that can happen here. 13, you'll constantly give levels and say, hey, look, I don't know if it's going to go there right now, but this is what I'm seeing in the charts. So real good stuff there. We take it one piece at a time. And also, if you're a newer trader, remember, we all started somewhere, right? We all started somewhere. The reality is that the first 2 trading accounts that I opened under my own name, I blew up. And it isn't until my 3rd attempt where I actually made things hit and stick for multiple years, one after another. So it's just how it goes. It's just how it goes. When you have big days like this that don't make sense, or you don't know what's going on, take a step back and kind of assess that and try not to react to that emotionally. So he kind of mentioned that. I really wanted to shout that out here because I think that's really good stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, some of the trades that were the best ones are the ones I didn't take. Like, this is the temptation to get into Tesla. I think there's a much better opportunity now than I did, yesterday or the day before. But even still, I'd like to see lower prices in Tesla before I want to get into it. And this isn't, Tesla wouldn't be the kind that I'd trade either. I usually would go with like one of those leverage ETFs like TLSL or something like that. But Tesla, if I was going to get it, I'd be for a long-term hold. And I just don't want to buy it up here with how much it's been extended for long-term.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's really smart. I mean, it sure looks like there's a reversal candle up here. We covered this yesterday, plus 91% from the election. I mean, hell, 13, you could really love Tesla's business and still be patient enough to let that cool off. And be a little bit more prudent with that. So, okay, good stuff there. You want to just start with NUKK?
Sure,
okay. So just to kind of set the stage here, again, we are going to be talking to Paul Meeks here in a little bit, about 15 minutes from now. We're going to ask about the Micron earnings. I'm going to have him break that down for us. He's been following Micron for a long time. Really, really knowledgeable guy. So we're excited to bring him on for our second guest of the day before the market even opens here today. But let's talk about some of the other movers or the other stocks that you want. I basically just went through some news. We talked a little bit about the SPY. We talked about Jim Cramer's call about incredible panic and not throwing away the good with the bad. I actually thought that was a pretty good piece of advice. Previewed FDX and Nike earnings tonight. We talked a little bit about Lennar and Micron, as well as some of the other home builders. We covered Accenture and CarMax here this morning. But we haven't covered any of the movers here, and I was very, very brief on our coverage of NUKK. So 13, where I would like to start here is going to be NUKK. First of all, what do you think of this whole thing? What do you think of this whole thing, and then where do you want to go from here?
Well, as we talk a lot about in happy hour, some of these really crazy moves that we get in some of these stocks, especially when there's multiple of them, running over 100% a day, it's pretty indicative of a market top. So to see this go like it has been, I don't want to say it's completely unexpected, but at the same time, I didn't think it was going to run as high as it did. 40, I was like, okay, well, we'll see. Like, I think you were mentioning that earlier, because I had my doubts as well. We got 44 when it actually got up to 40. I was trading NUKK yesterday, but once it got there, I decided I was going to stop, because that whole thesis we were talking about was over, and it could do whatever it wanted. Well, it got to 80 in the pre-market this morning. Yesterday, we were also seeing it get up into the 60s, I believe, but it mostly hung out around the 50s. And I just thought to myself, well, maybe this goes to 100, but I don't want to get caught in this thing. So maybe a good idea just to sit on my hands and just watch the show. I'm sure I missed out on some crazy gains, but I don't trade in after hours, so it's just not part of my risk profile. And I think when it comes to certain things like this that have run their course as we expected them to, or not me, but Lion Atlas as he expects them to, and then once that whole thesis is over, I just don't want to, even really touch it. I just watch the show and see what the kind of popcorn pops.
Okay, and guess what? We're going to have episode 2 of that show here today. Is it episode 2 or maybe it's episode 3? Day 3 here of the huge move. Let's just go ahead and call it episode 3 here. Love this comment here from the Crow. LOL, NUKK brushes off the offering. So while we're talking here about NUKK, we've talked a lot about offerings and stuff like that. In this case, it's a private offering here. Nucleus rockets higher, 10 million private placement offering. We got this yesterday in the after hours, and that had no effect on it. It kind of knocked it down a little bit here, and look at here in the pre-market. We are right back to where we are. Crow, indeed, this brushed that offering off. Now, that should make for a pretty interesting day here today. 13, I know it's sure, based on the chat, based on the performance here today, based on what we're looking at, it sure looks like NUKK is going to be one of our top movers to watch here today. So I know that you said that you traded your plan yesterday. Excellent marks there. You get 100% on that. And then you were disciplined enough to stay away from it when your plan expired. Let me ask you ahead of time here today. Do you plan to trade this here today?
No.
Okay. So you're just saying that we're going to have other movers here today.
I would rather do some other movers. This thing is very expensive right now. It's also really extended. It could go to 100. It could go beyond 100. That's fine. I do not care. I don't want to get caught in this thing, because it is still a very low float stock, and it could be a situation where I'm going, oh, this looks like a great setup, and then I get into it, and all of a sudden, everybody starts selling off, and it completely breaks any pattern that was setting up. I do not want to, risk that. This is not part of my risk profile now. I'm sitting on my hands with Nuke.
Okay. Really good stuff there. I'll tell you what, I will watch this here. I can't commit. I can't tell you for sure if we're going to go ahead and if I'm going to go ahead and trade this here. I'm definitely going to watch it. I like your quote about the popcorn there. Not normally a popcorn in the morning type of guy, but today, 13, I think that's exactly what's on deck.
Don't let me discourage you about trading this. If you want to trade this, then you trade this, and you just make sure you protect yourself while you're trading it. It's just not part of my risk profile. It might be yours. And that's great. Hope you make a lot of money on this. It's just not for me right now.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's, I think that's smart. I think that's keep yourself safe, follow your own rules. Really, really good stuff there. 13. Okay. I think we got about 10 minutes until we go to Paul, so we can take a look at some other pre-market movers here. I suppose let me just go ahead and start with that. I am going to cue Micron up here real quick. And I'm actually going to hide the drawing here because we don't need that. Now, let me go over to the movers tool there, and let's start breaking down some of those movers here. We do have a half an hour until the market opens. We are going to lose some of our prep time here in the morning, so we might as well get started. First one here on the top of the list is going to be TPET. I already see our chat is all over this. Really, really good stuff there. Trio Petroleum shares are trading higher after the company announced it will acquire the oil and gas assets in a heavy oil region of Saskatchewan, Canada, for approximately $1.4 million. Stock here up 332%. This thing came from penny territory. I'm just going to ask the obvious question here. Do we have another drug and nuke on our hands here? I'm sorry. I just had to. I know we recently, we just had a really awesome call there. Had to do it.
I mean, these things at this point can be whatever they want to be. If they want to be a 300% plus runner, that's fine. I think this is still indicative of a market top. If we're going to have things like this run 300% over 1.4 million acquisition, we're still seeing these ridiculous moves. So we're not done yet with the market being frothy. The IWM, for example, it had a 10% move off the highs. So we've essentially corrected in the IWM. We could continue to turn around and go back up and get crazier before the real move down comes. So let's just, put that in the back of our head for now. But anyway, back to TPET. Where this, let me just actually pull this up in my broker so I can take a look at this. This is one I didn't cover this morning.
Yeah, the news here was fairly recent, so I guess I should have mentioned that here. We got this PR here at 8:30 Eastern, so this probably wasn't on the list prior to that. But it's currently being reacted to right now. Real quick, look around the horn here while you pull that up. Percent of float shorted, got about 6% of the float shorted, only 1 day to cover those, so really not a huge squeeze potential in here. I did have an open market sale. This was just a few days ago, looks like December 12th here by one of the directors. This was selling about 12.5%. I wouldn't really read too much into that, to be quite honest with you. And then looking at the share structure here, we got about 3.5 million in the float. So this is right in that butter area of some of those stocks that we like to trade here. So that's kind of what's going on. An average volume on average, stock trades 265,000 shares today, though. We are up here around 16.5 million. Yikes. So, okay. Got anything here on TPET?
Yeah. So, there are some levels that are interesting. We've kind of blown through several of them, but it looks like as we approach 330, that might be a particularly interesting level. So for some resistance, there's some consolidation between there and about 430, so about $1 worth. Above that, there's a 200 EMA on the daily chart that's just beneath $5. It's potential we could get up to there. Now, we talked a lot about themes as well, and sectors that have been beaten up that could be rotated into next year. This is in the oil and gas sector, and that is the worst performing sector this year. So we might see some more of these in this particular sector, these really beaten up, forgotten names, start to turn around and get some news, especially, news like the headline they have here. It's only 1.4 million, acquisition, but because of how beat up the sector's been, there's going to probably be a big old move into some of these names as a result. So because they're very, very attractively priced right now. So I would think that this might not be the only one in the energy sector that sees this move, these kinds of moves. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing it go over 300%. Now, aside from that, I gave some levels, so we just have to see if we get some follow through with that. Currently on the 5-minute chart, we almost hit $4. It's coming back in, trying to hold VWAP. So let's see if we can get a hold above VWAP. Maybe it puts in a bit of a bull flag or a bull pennant, and gives us a setup to take us higher. So that's the thing to watch for right now. Is first things first, let's see if we can hold VWAP.
Okay, and we're actually testing that round number. Actually, we just snapped through it there. To your point there, 396, your pre-market high, 4 cents away from that $4 level. Let's see if that remains on deck here with that TPET. Looks like it's kind of flirting with that $3 level. Really good stuff there, 13, and doing so under the gun. Really impressive. Next here on the list is actually going to be the first one on the list because it is currently popping as we're talking here. Is going to be BPTH. Now, folks, we've traded this one before. We've definitely traded this one off of the relative volume scanner, but we've also traded this off news headlines in the past. Biopath Holdings shares are trading higher after the company announced preclinical testing of BP 1001-A as a potential treatment for obesity in type 2 diabetes patients with enhancing insulin sensitivity. Okay, this stock is up over 500%. When I first looked at this, it was 300%. While you were talking, it was 400%. And now by the time I get to it, it's 500%. So clearly, we have some momentum moves to the upside here. A quick look around the horn once again, negligible short interest in both the days to cover and the percent of float shorted. No recent insider transactions at all, and the 4.3 million share float that we really like to see here. So what do you got now here on BPTH?
Well, this news is preclinical results, so they have not even begun their trials, where you have the different phases, 1, 2, maybe 2A and B, and things like that. So they're a long ways away from this BP 1001A obesity drug to actually ever see the market. They're going to need a lot of cash for that. Cash they don't have. They just did, earlier this year, they did a 1-for-20 reverse split on the 23rd of February. They have not raised cash since August of last year, and they do need it. Their financials are not great at this point. I don't know, if they've made any indication of where they intend to seek that money from, but I imagine it would come in the form of an equity raise. That's usually what I go with. So I would expect that at some point, possibly even today, BPTA, especially being that it's up almost 500%, they could do an offering. So I would be very, very careful with BPTH, providing some great trades right now. Just keep that in the back of your mind, that in order for this to continue to do what its business does, it's going to need money, and it's going to have to raise it somehow. That's going to, in my opinion, be by the way of stock offering.
Okay. Real good stuff there on BPTH. Okay, let's take a break from some of the smaller movers here, and let's go back to one of the earnings reports of the day yesterday. That is going to be Micron. As mentioned earlier, folks, do want to bring on a special guest here. Can I get a thumbs up in the back if you're ready to go? We are. Let's give a warm live trading welcome, or market edge welcome here to special guest Paul Meeks. Good morning, Paul. How are you doing here today?
Great. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays indeed. I'll tell you what, we got some, I don't know if you consider we got gifts or did we get coal yesterday? You tell me. But I do want to hear about these Micron earnings that we had last night. Micron, we were recently talking about it here on this show for the purpose of trading, had a nice little recapture of the 50-day that sent us to the 200-day. But boy, oh boy, those earnings disappointed, down 11.3% here this morning. What did you make of these?
So the guidance was particularly gruesome, and Micron's a story of two sides of the coin. On one side, you have the good stuff, and that's specifically high bandwidth memory chips for AI applications. That is on track, maybe even accelerating, now about 50% of total revenues. However, on the other side of the coin, you have the crap, and that is particularly a real poor forecast for NAND flash. And these are chips that go primarily in consumer electronics, like PCs, like cell phones, also in cars and other industrial applications. You may recall the fanboys on all of these related consumer electronics companies early this year were saying that, for example, with Apple, that once you put AI on an iPhone, it was going to lead to the quote unquote mother of all iPhone upgrade cycles. That ain't happening this Christmas. Maybe it's a Christmas 25 thing, but not a Christmas 24 thing. So unfortunately, the negative part, the legacy part, the non-AI data center part of Micron's business is bad and worsening. So when I put that all together, there's just not enough good stuff to overpower the bad stuff. And even though the stock is down, and I've talked about this stock on Benzinga's YouTube channel, Tech Tune Up with Paul Meeks, but I would still stay away.
Okay, so that you kind of jumping ahead there. That was going to be my next question. Do we like this at any particular level, or is this kind of a no touch here? Seems like you're saying stay away here. Robert from our chat here thinks Micron is going lower here. So okay, 13. You got any questions? I know you follow Micron an awful lot. You got any questions here from Mr. Meeks?
Yes, Mr. Meeks. I usually like to see how they perform over time, depending on their earnings cycles. And it seems that with this earnings we had yesterday, they had their first revenue miss since the third quarter of 2023. I was just kind of curious if do you think that sometimes when we see these changes where we start to see the sales, or are we seeing sales starting to decline in Micron? Are we seeing maybe some supply chain constraints? I just want to kind of get an idea from you if there's maybe some more behind the scenes things happening, perhaps as it relates to China's ban on selling antimony and germanium and gallium to United States suppliers directly.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the overall proportion of Micron's revenues to China and the China geographic theater is probably mid-teens percentage. But when you see the really poor forecasts, as I mentioned, for all things consumer electronics related, it's unfortunately still a really big piece of the business. And the company said last night that they expect this portion of the business to rebound in the second half of calendar 25. I believe it when I see it. But the other part of the business, the high bandwidth memory, AI oriented business, no surprises there. Actually, everything seems to be on track and maybe even a little bit ahead of plan. But unfortunately, I can buy NVIDIA or another AI pure play and not have to worry about the dilution or the pollution of this NAND flash business into consumer electronics. So I would probably just stay away.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Though, last question that I have here regarding Micron, after we see these earnings, do you think that this can really kind of spread to any more of the tech sector, or is this pretty much localized to Micron?
Excellent question. Excellent question. This is what I think. I think this really puts a pall over the semiconductor companies and the other component companies and even the consumer electronics supply chain companies themselves that are involved in consumer electronics. We saw this several weeks ago with a really poor forecast from Best Buy. And now we're seeing it through all the component makers. So if you're a tech investor like me, stay away from consumer electronics and everything tied to it.
Okay. Really awesome stuff there. Paul, thank you so much. As mentioned, Paul does appear on Benzinga's YouTube channel here on Wednesdays. Paul, we cannot thank you enough. And thank you again for taking time this morning here to break this down for us. All right. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you, Mr. Meeks.
Thanks, man.
All right. Have a good one, folks. That is two guests here prior to the open. I told you we had a lot of stuff going on here today and this week. We bringing you the Christmas presents a little bit early here. We thank both of our guests. Thank you, Paul, for joining us here and breaking down the Micron earnings. So you heard it there. You heard it there from the boss himself. Stay away from consumer electronics. What do you think about that?
Well, I wrote all that down.
I bet.
Notes are such an important part of what I do every day. So yeah, I was, I kind of feel bad because I wasn't making, eye contact when he was talking to me, but I was kind of had my head in the pad, just trying to write things down that he was saying, because it's great information when an expert like that comes on and gives his thoughts on it. So stay away from consumer electronics. I kind of wonder maybe if you have, that TV that's heavily discounted that you are looking to get, maybe now might be the time if we're going to expect to see a slowdown in consumer electronics to where maybe consumer electronic prices start to rise as supplies constrain. Just, kind of thinking out loud here, but yeah, great piece there. Stay away from consumer electronics. I'm going to take that to heart.
Okay. Real good stuff there. I will say, so I'm thinking about, like my Christmas shopping and all of that. And I'm like, I bought some consumer electronics here for Christmas, but not a whole lot. Anyway, we'll see how that continues here. All right, let's get back to some of the movers here. I do want to, we've got a bunch here, I feel like, still that I haven't covered. So I want to make sure we break all of these down here. Let me get to my page here. Okay, we took a look at BPTH. We took a look at TPET. Here we go. PRFX. I guess we can even call this one an ex-girlfriend, right? This ran recently. Yes, sir. Look at this. So here we go. PRFX. This is what we're going to start with here. No news, clinical stage specialty pharmaceutical company. But the eye-popping thing, or the thing of note here, is it looks like we retested 8. So it looks like we've kind of made a double top here at 8. The last time we were up here was Thursday, another Thursday, this time December 5th. So looks like we traded up to 8 here. We came back down. We lost the VWAP. Now we're actually struggling to get above the VWAP here. As a quick reminder, with PRFX here, we do have just under 10% of the float shorted here. We have no recent insider transactions, and this is one of those micro float stocks. Under 1 million shares in the float here at 860,000. 13, what do you think here about PRFX for a potential trade here today?
Well, I was trying to find a reason why we were even getting some movement today. Couldn't see any relative volume. I mean, it might have been possibly that the we're kind of at the lows, the all-time lows actually, again, but I'm not even sure that that's the case. One thing that was interesting that stood out was how I don't even know if this is the reason. The last time it had a really big volumetric move. Not on the 5th of December, but on the 19th of November, a month ago today. So since we had that, and then we had this other move on December 5th, and was counting the number of days between these two moves, and I'm like, well, that's about 10 to 15 trading days, and here we are after this December 5th move, 10 to 11 trading days. I think it's 10 days after that. So just wondering if maybe there's a pattern here going on with PRFX. It's causing it to move. It's not on any kind of news. I don't see anything, any catalyst or anything fundamental or otherwise. But if this is just one of those things that kind of like hollow, where it would, pop every 6 months, maybe that's what's happening here with PRFX. I mean, this market does some pretty dumb things. So this might be the latest in its, cycle of stupidity. But
well, so they're pretty dumb things, cycle of stupidity. Hey, I'm on the same page that you are, 13. That's good stuff.
But yeah, with the 860,000 share float, it's likely going to be able to provide some kind of trade today with its low float structure. It did do some reverse splitting twice this year as well. 1 for 6 on September 9th and a 1 for 4 on November 21st. As I recall, looking at the balance sheet and their income statements, they're losing money, and they're gonna need to raise it. So there's a risk of them doing a capital raise here as well. So just keep those things in mind, and they're perfectly set up for it with how low their share structure is. So be careful with this one as well. Just like BPTH, they need cash, and they're going to need a way to raise it. By the way, just to circle back to TPET, that's now breaking out after putting in the bull pennant. So great trades happening there with that one before the market opens. But anyway, that's for PRFX. No news, but has potential to move around however it wants. Just be careful with it because it needs cash.
And by the way, speaking of TPET there, had that on screen here. That went right to 4. We tested that area again, and then it snapped through it. So this clearly, still has some momentum to the upside here. Got a very, very quick 15 cents, pulled off a little, and then another 15 cents on top of that, and more still. 438 here, your high print on TPET. This one definitely going to be in play here today. Really good call there on that, and a good breakdown there on PRFX. One other thing to remind here, I'll get you back in here. One other thing to remind you here, we are often looking for patterns. So 13, the fact that you think that you have a pattern here, boom, that is a leg up in trading this. What else did you have?
So for TPET, remember I mentioned that 200 EMA on the daily. We're beelining for it right now. That's going to be just under $5. I have it currently at 496, 497. So that would be the potential target, the next potential target we could get up to here with TPET, just under $5 or at $5. It looks like we're pulling in a bit here.
You said that was the 200 EMA that you had there?
On the daily, yep.
On the daily, interesting. So my 200 EMA is being calculated slightly differently. I've got that at 533, but nonetheless, I think you're exactly right on the level. I think in this case, I actually think that the difference in price is meaningless. I think we do go to that spot there. Okay, good stuff there on TPET. Next here on the list is going to be XHG. This sounds familiar. Maybe this was another one that we've traded here before. I can't remember specifically. I might be confusing this with something else. But in any case, there's no news here. Insurance agency and insurance technology business. We did pop above 350 here, but we have really, really bled that back. And now we're actually starting to extend to the downside away from that VWAP. I got that VWAP at 225 here. So it looks like this is really kind of giving some of those gains back. Another quick look around the horn, pretty much nothing here on the short interest, nothing there on insider transactions, and 97.5 million in the float here. I'm not sure if this is going to be one of our better stocks to trade. I know we did have or we really haven't had any recent news. That last piece of news was from November. So, okay, you got anything on this one, XHG?
I'm sure we did trade this because I'm looking through this year's price action, and man, I can see that we really had a huge spike in the end of September. So we possibly might have been trading it then. Also had some good moves earlier that month, also July and May. So any one of those 3 months, we could have been trading this because you get these big volume moves and these high flying prints. Yeah, it's something that we likely were trading. Now, it got up to $60 the last time that we saw this really fly. I'm not saying that we're going to see that again today. It went to 60 and came right back in, and it absolutely got crushed since that time. So this could be a number of things that we're seeing here. It could, it could just only go up to about 490, where I have the 65 EMA on the daily. But like these other stocks, and like it's done before, it could be anything. This could push back up into the teens. But first things first, let's just get some levels identified. I think that the 490 levels is a pretty good one. 250 stands out to me as well. But right now, it's kind of going sideways with much of the price action that's had since the middle of November.
Okay. Real good stuff there on XHG. We'll see how this one trades here. This one, this at this point, I think we really need to look for a hold and then maybe a move back to VWAP. We'll see if we end up getting that here. Okay, I saw a number of you folks mentioning HIMS here in the chat. Looks like we had recent news here, so I'll break away from the movers list. Let's take a look at HIMS. Indeed, losing that 29 handle. Looks like we tested 23 and are settling here, at least so far, at about 24.20. Let's take a quick look at the daily chart. Looks like that's the 200 EMA on the daily that we just lost here. Wow, big pullback here, actually filled the gap to the downside. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what the news is here. FDA issued a new decision determining the tirzepatide, excuse me, I'm sorry for mispronouncing that, tirzepatide injection shortage is resolved. Okay, so it looks like there's no shortage of, and this is one of the newer weight loss ones, right? This is the one that came after semaglutide, if I'm not mistaken. Semaglutide, however you pronounce that. Okay, we're getting news here that this is resolved. HIM's not liking this news, down 15.6% here. Maybe that's going to be reflected in their margins.
Well, what was the type of drug that HIMS sells? Is it the tirzepatide, or is it a different?
Maybe that's what Maybe that's what it is. It might be that they were using the semaglutide. The tirzepatide is more desirable, and now that shortage is over, you should be able to get that, and that may reduce the need for HIMS. Okay.
That would be my thinking. That the tirzepatide is a competitor drug of HIMS to what HIMS is offering, and so that's mean maybe potentially lower future sales for HIMS. That would be my initial thinking.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
But without looking more into it, I'm not exactly sure. Still could provide some pretty good trades here on this news. Remember, this thing does have a high short interest still, so at some point, this could end up being a pretty good bounce.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just a competitor of that. This is an alternative, and now it looks like that shortage is resolved. So him's responding negatively to that. I think you're exactly right. Also, really good mention here by you on that short interest. This is one of the things that really kind of drove this to the upside here. 22% of the float shorted, 1.82 days to cover is that recent reading, and that is as of 9 days ago. So that's not even really all that stale. We'll see what happens here with this down move. Looks like that initial reaction there was a bounce, and now we're kind of retracing low. Intraday pre-market low here, 22.91. We'll see if that holds on HIMS. Good mention here by the chat. Love that you folks have your eyes open. We got people with their heads on a swivel out here. We got multiple sets of eyes identifying things for us. That's really, really good stuff. Let's keep that up. Okay, I'm going to get back to the movers here because we still have some more to talk about. We're getting closer to cooler. Don't you worry. We will get to cooler. So here we go. So Izzy, looks like you're confirming what you were saying. HIMS only went up because you couldn't get Wegovy, I believe is what you're referring to there. So that alternative play was helping with the shortage. Now that the shortage is resolved, HIMS not as much. I wonder if this bounce is going to be viable here. HIM's definitely going to be on watch for a trade here today. Let me know if you folks take that. I'd be interested in that. Okay, next here from the movers list is going to be ticker CURR. This is Currency. See what they did there. Currency Group. This thing really ramped yesterday in the after hours, up to about $12 here. Got no news on this. Let me see if anything has kind of been backfilled on that. No, Wednesday, December 11th. Nope, nothing fresh here on this. No fresh news. Popped after the close, obviously. FinTech banking platforms for e-wallets, financial institutions, and merchants. Now, we have been fading from that pop. We did use the VWAP yesterday in the after-hour session, but I tell you what, this morning, the VWAP has turned into the enemy as it is now resistance. We popped above it once, lost it in short order, have not been able to break through it the rest of the morning, and now it seems that we're pushing away from it here. Again, another quick look around the board. Don't have a float reading, so I'm not going to be able to give you a float percent of a short percent of float. I beg your pardon. 5,000 or 5,500 shares held short here. That is pretty much nothing. That might be one position. Nothing recent on insider transactions. And again, no float reading here. This one might be a little tough. Do you have anything on CURR? Understandably, or understand if you don't.
I mean, obviously this is moving on, the rate cut news. I don't know how this, benefits the company with the, the rate the policy that's going to be going into 2025. So I really don't have a whole lot that I can, draw on from this. And I don't even have a float reading on this. I'd have to look that up as well. But, I think I don't know if this move is going to be sustainable. I think it's just maybe some frothiness from the rate decision. And now that that's over, I just don't know enough about the company to know how this is the rate decision is affecting it. So I'm sorry I can't give more on this, but we can at least look for levels on this if we think it's still going up. So give me a second here.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. By the way, I mean we'll make as much sense as we can.
No, Ryan, I have to give answers.
I know you. When you chase perfection, you won't catch it, but you will catch excellence, and that's where 13 finds himself all the time. Look, I'm going to give you a Vince Lombardi pack.
Thank you.
Whenever it is applicable. Yep. 13. Come on now. Really quickly here.
One of the greatest quotes ever.
I'll tell you what. Despite being a Bears fan, I live my life by that quote. You can. Oh, and that's actually kind of where I get trying to be 2% better every day. Every day you hold the choice for how your life is going to be. And if you make an attempt to get better, you will catch great things, even if they don't come very, very quickly. So always be vigilant. Anyway, with CURR, sure looked like as soon as this lost 5.25 here, that the floodgates really kind of opened to the downside here. The other level that I'm going to be watching here, 13, just right off the bat, that consolidation area that we were in, I've got that at 525 to about 590-ish. We do have the VWAP here at 631. So I'd love to see it really kind of hold here, then kind of chew out that consolidation area, and then make a move to the VWAP. If it can do all of those things, I do think it could possibly pop above that VWAP and maybe move. So we'll see if that's what we got here. What do you have on CURR levels wise?
Well, it's interesting because right now there's a bit of a wall at 440, and I can see why that would be the case. It's kind of based on some previous price action. But let's say we get through 440. I'd be looking at the 630 level because that's where I have the 200 EMA on the daily chart. There might be some other EMAs in the way first. Nope, not seeing any. Well, maybe 550 might be a level first. So let's mark off 550 and 630 as potential upside levels in this. I don't know enough about this company to really know if it's going to actually get there. But let's just see how it trades, see if it sets up. Right now, it's not looking like it's really setting up. It's kind of leaking into the open here, which we have about 20 seconds till we get the bell. So,
shoot! Wow, we really ran out of time there.
Yeah, so I don't know about this one. If we do sell off out of the open, wait for it to bottom, and then maybe it'll provide a trade.
Okay, Izzy, I did see that you mentioned ONDS. Now, I know we're running out of time here. Do have some fresh news here today. We're expecting news flow on this. It's really good to see it. This, by the way, really quickly, this is one of the this thing got pounded yesterday after that. And like I was saying earlier, it's important not to overreact to things that make you emotional. This could have been one, but I held strong. Like I said, we're going to remain strong there and all of that. Okay, let me flip over to the main workspace here. Let's see what we got going on. BPTH, first stock that I'm looking at here. Looks like we did bounce off that 3 level. So we held that 3 level. Let's see what happens here next. I have another stop the presses here. Lion has given us another call. If the volume can come in, I can see NUKK going to 80. Crow says, hold my beer. I think it can go to 100.
Oh, yeah. I was saying yesterday after it broke through that 50 level, that's probably going to go to 100 because it's just on that kind of ridiculous tear now. So I'm with you on that one. 80, possibly 100. Sure. It could be whatever it wants at this point. It's so ridiculously overextended. Just don't get caught in it and get hurt.
Just kind of looking at the level 2 here, 78.32. Wow, there was a bunch of stock bid there, and it got absolutely deleted. This stock volatile here. No position for me. I'll wait for this to maybe firm up a little bit. Looks like pullback coming here. I've got VWAP at 65.18. That would be your next spot down here. If we go to the 5-minute, I also have 57.04 as your value for the 65 EMA.
Regarding some of the movers that we were looking at this morning, BVTH is halted. So is CURR. That one halted the downside. So waiting for this one to fall out and find a bottom. That's so far we're getting really good move here with CURR. So let's wait for a bottom on that one. XHG really not doing a whole lot. Kind of in the middle of between two EMAs, the 200 and the 65 on the 5-minute chart. Trying to figure out what it wants to do with VWAP. So nothing out of XHG yet. And then TPET, this one looks like it may continue to roll over. I don't think I'd want to start a trade in TPET quite yet. I'd like to see this, form a solid base because I don't like the way these upper shadows from pre-market leading into the open, and now we're trying to have a hard time get above VWAP. I think I'll wait for TPET to show a little more strength in this. Then of course Nuke. That thing's popped up almost to 80 and halted to the downside. I don't have no expectations for this, except maybe it goes to 100 and it can do whatever it wants. I'm not going to be trading this one, but y'all have fun with it. All right, just be careful.
And to your point there, 13 looks like Jane is already having some fun with that. In at 71.21, out at 75.51. Awesome trade there, Jane. Again, the only thing that I can tell you to possibly help you with NUKK today, just be careful. You're well aware of how volatile this name can be. Make sure you have a plan for both possible outcomes, not just the one that you want to happen.
And exactly, Tom B. Let's just say it goes to 120 because it can do whatever it wants. It's just, we're in the Christmas spirit. So let's just be Jack, be nimble, and be quick with these.
Oh man, that's so good, 13. That is so good. I love what you're doing here today. I absolutely love it. Okay, let's take a look around the board here. XHG.
Oh, perfect. TPET is halted to the downside after I said I don't want to touch this one yet. Okay, well, so far the technicals are telling us everything we need to know. Maybe get some support under 2. I don't know about TPET yet. A lot of these things really need to show me that they're worth picking up for a trade. And so far, that hasn't happened quite yet. Tony asking about DEVS, devs. This is DevStream. Oh, this
All right,
one
let me pull that up here real quick.
has a lot of wild price action. The wicks are bigger than the real bodies. Let's take a look and see what I can get out of this. So we are trying to recapture a dollar. It seems to be having a hard time with that dollar hold. Oh, here we go. We just popped back over.
I was going to say, all you had to do was talk about it, 13, and bang, 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 right through there.
Seems to have a float of about 22.5 million. So, a little bit thicker, but we can still, it's still going to move. Yeah, that VWAP is kind of telling us what we need to know right now. If it loses that, then, like we're going to go lower. These upper shadows don't look particularly great either. What's the news on this? They unveiled carbon offset tool for e-commerce.
Hims ripping here, so Hims bouncing, big volume stick there too. Sorry for interrupting here. If you need to go back, you're welcome to do so here. But that big volume stick there on Hims traded up towards $28. So,
and then for devs,
there.
For devs, 121 pre-market high. That's the level I think we need to break. And when I look at the price ladder here, 120 has a large amount of orders that are going to be in the way of any progress to the upside. So that's going to be the wall there to break. Next one is going to be at 130 as well. So those are a couple of levels to watch for in devs. Let me see if there's any EMAs or anything I can look at. Oh, this isn't actually a very old stock. This actually IPO'd last month. Okay. So, gosh, I think maybe, that 120 to 130, we get through that. This could possibly go to 3. Maybe.
Okay.
That'll be something to watch for then. So dev's kind of interesting. Thanks for bringing that one up. This needs to have a lot more volume than this. And those, oh man, it's already putting in upper shadows that I don't like.
Yeah, I was going to say that 117, 120 area, it's at the top of those shadows you were just talking about.
Yeah. So, but so I guess we have our setup here. We need to see this hold VWAP. We need to see it break through 120 and then subsequently 130 in order for it to get up to that $3 level. But, if we start getting resistance and we continue to put in these upper shadows, it's likely going to go back down under $1. All right, so what is...
I'm going to check out Sound. Looks like a number of you folks are talking about Sound here. This trying to go from more highs here. Looks like a 23 test coming. 24 was our intraday high yesterday. Sound popping right through that as we were speaking.
Oh, gosh. I just can't say it enough. Be careful with that one. That thing is, when that corrects, that's going to come down very, very hard.
Yeah, it sure is. How's BBAI? So BBAI also moving here off that 340 level right through the VWAP. 370 looks to be the high there.
Nuke opened, went lower, and then halted again. So far downside. Not what you want to see if you're looking for 100, 120. But let's see here. Maybe it gets a bounce at the 65 EMA. That would be a guess. But like I said, not touching this one. So hopefully you have your cells protected if you're still trying this one.
Yeah, and kudos to you. Just once again, kudos to you, Jane. In and out there earlier for 4 points. Now we're 15 points lower than all that. So really good stuff there. Okay, also taking a look around the horn here, Tesla, which had a huge move, or it's no stranger to huge moves, had more than one, frankly. Looks like this is selling off out of the gate here. Yesterday's after hours low, about 430 here, still 11 points away. Tell you what, one of the takeaways here was that those strong stocks that are really good quality companies here, man, those were very, very quick to rebound yesterday. Some of these stock, Tesla, I think, was up like 11 points in the after hours after that huge draw or after that huge sell-off post FOMC. So just goes to show you strength is strength no matter how you slice a Tesla. It pulling back here, we'll see if that bounces.
Yeah, and I think that 420, 420.69, sure. I think that particular level might provide some resistance as well if it ends up trading down there. So that'll be a particular level to watch for some support. If you recall, when on December 11th, we traded up and had to. It took a couple attempts to push through it intraday, and then once it did, that was support for the next 2 days before it rallied up into the almost to 500, up to 490.
PRFX here, really nice action. I didn't take this one here, but a nice recapture of that 5 level that we outlined from the pre-market. We actually just crossed through the VWAP here, 635. What was that high print there? 640 something here on PRFX. So actually a nice little move there. And I would have, if I did hit this one, I would have definitely scaled out at least partial at that VWAP, probably all of it, frankly. Today, just given what we saw yesterday, again, one of the key things here, I don't really think we need to overstay our welcome, especially in some of these bigger movers. We did a really good job covering how volatile NUKK can be, but I really think any of these, you might want to take your gains if you get them.
I think PRFX might try to push over 7 here.
It's doing it as we speak. There you go.
And it's coming up to 7, and it might go as high as maybe somewhere into the high 7 area. We'll see. Like maybe 750 to 770. Here we go. Before it gets some resistance. So let's see if that's what we get. I expect it to pull around 775. Okay, so here we go. Here's 715. We're getting a little bit of a pull here. Maybe the next move up takes us there, because there's a trend from pre-market here that I'm looking at. The high in pre-market being 827, and then there was another high about an hour later. I just drew it through those two, and that's going to give me the trend to break here. So 775 looks like it's an interesting level.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to get a 1-up for your call at 7, because it went right there as you were still laying the thesis out. So well done there, 13. Clearly, you've got this on lockdown here.
Well, it's been the best looking setup so far this morning.
Everything else it really has. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right about that.
And it's now in the 720s. Maybe it breaks through that 775. I don't know, but for me, the purpose of the trade would be 775, and I'd be done unless it shows something else.
Your cooler here having a really, really nice morning. This had a great pre-market. It's actually spiked as high as almost 350 here. Now, we've pared back some of those gains, but we recently recaptured the VWAP on volume here in the regular session. Cooler here, fresh news benchmark, upgrading Cooler Tech to a buy, raising the price target to $5. That is absolutely drawing it here. Okay.
Well, I'll say
this one.
I'll say this. I've been on this company for a long time. I think it's a great company. They have products. They're going to be huge in the aerospace industry and space industry. I think it's extended. I'd like to see it not be extended so that it can go higher. I think it's going to be absolutely a crucial component to the future of space flight. So, and other applications. But like I said, with stocks getting extended, it's not great for them if you're trying to go long. Let's let this come back in.
Okay, APCX getting mentioned here in the chat. I haven't pulled that one up. Let me do that right now. This is AppTech. Ooh, nice move here too. Again, 80-cent level through the VWAP. Higher we go here on APCX.
All right. APCX. Oh, that's a nice move.
Yeah, sure is. Sure is. Hims also, by the way, great mention by you guys shouting out that news here in the pre-market. Now, I didn't take this one, but man, that 24 level, 3.5 points here worth of bounce off that, and a huge move through the VWAP on volume. Volume telling the story here.
Dev's looking a little bit better now. Still having a hard time getting through that 120 area, but it did push through it briefly. We could get a break and to take us up to 130 with this one. Still believe in that thesis. We break through that 120, 130 levels. We may end up seeing 3.
Okay, here you go on Devs. Looks like Smoke Tuna mentioning this one as well.
It looks like XHG is trying to turn around. Not convinced that we're getting the big upside movement that we're seeing in some of these other ones, but it just thought I'd mention that it looks like it's turning around. TPET, I'm glad I said that this didn't look great, because it has not been behaving very well. So it could lose 2 out of this halt. I think 150 might get some support. If it doesn't get it there, 110. Oh, here we go. We just opened. So let's see.
Yeah, here it is.
All right. So be looking for 150 support at this stage for TPET. Kerr, that had just opened as well. Went down to 254, trying to rebound here. Devs trying to push higher. Here we go.
And there it goes on Devs. Okay.
225, looking for 230.
230. I see size there on the offer there. It's not size that can't get eaten up here. It actually should go higher if we pop through there real fast.
And looks like PRFX is doing that thing. Got as high as it's going higher now.
ELAB getting a mention here. I see ELAB on the scanner. That is going higher here. Looks like 350 test kind of stopped ELAB there.
VRAR going crazy.
That was Robert has been on this one for a while. VRAR. This has been a great mover. Oh my goodness. VRAR. This actually looks like a 5 magnet coming here on VRAR.
Yeah, I think it wants to test those pre-market highs. 495. Absolutely. That looks like where it's headed right now. That would be, I agree with that. That's what it looks like where it's going. All right. So still on this PRFX one, where do we get up to? The high was 772, 73. Okay, so basically this is where I would be taking gains. Look, we're through that now, almost to 8. So we are going to try and break this trend line, but this would be where I would be exiting because that was the target I was looking for. And now we're starting to get a pull back to the area that I was talking about where I was taking gains. That's acting as support. This could end up pushing up higher through 8.
Is that cooler?
No, this is PRFX.
Sorry.
No worries.
Cooler also pulled here, and it did pull down to that, I guess, a consolidation. Looks like a support area, 250-ish area from the pre-market there. PRFX through the pre-market highs literally as I went to it.
And going to halt. Maybe. It looked like it was going to halt there a second ago.
Yeah, not holding it here. Devs actually might halt to the downside. Devs is halted to the downside, so got to pull there on Devs. Now, it just basically deleted some of these other candles here. 13, you mentioned some of those wicks earlier, some of those upper wicks. Wonder if that's coming into play here. This, despite being halted to the downside, not a terrible spot, right? We didn't really kind of break down and fall out of here right beneath the VWAP. We'll see if this recovers here, but Devs halted to the downside.
But look at the spot that it got up to, 129. I was saying it had to get to 120 and 130. It didn't do that, and so it pulled. So that, I mean, there it is. There's the result of what we were looking for. Did not have the volume, did not have the buyers. So now we're going lower.
INOD here. Check this out. I know you're good. INOD 7-point move off the lows yesterday when this thing really got sold after the FOMC decision. So again, just kind of the theme that we've been talking about here about when you see some really scary days that, a lot of stuff's happening. Maybe some of it doesn't really make sense or all of that. Important to kind of be patient here. INOD, boy, I hope nobody got flushed out of that at 34. It's stacked 7 points higher here today.
PRFX is on a tear now after breaking that trend. It's a trend line break, man. These seem to be working out more often than they should. But this is the market we're in right now.
Yep.
All right, so let's see what's going on with some of these other ones. Kerr actually looks like that might be trying to turn around. It still hasn't recaptured VWAP.
Nuke resumed and so far is bouncing here. NUKK.
And it's bouncing off the 65 EMA. So far that EMA holding up, but we need to really get back up to the 60s in order to go higher here. VWAP I have at 67, so might need a lot more. Losing the 65
here on Nuke.
Yeah. So next level 200 EMA, that's going to be at about 46.
This is really, really spread too. This is not an easy thing to trade here.
Yep. Cooler losing some altitude. Now, Cooler, remember, they have a large share structure, so it's going to be hard to continue to push this one up, especially if you already have a lot of people that like this company that are in it and not buying anymore. Maybe this gets a bounce around the 243, that low that we had in pre-market. I would think maybe about 243, somewhere around 240 potentially could be the next bounce spot. Interestingly enough, so is the 200 EMA is right there as well. I kind of like that area for a potential bounce in Cooler, around the 240s.
CDIO at the highs here on some pretty good volume. VRAR just absolute monster here. 616. Is this halted?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. VRAR halted here at 616. Really good stuff there. Robert, been all over this. Robert, I'm going to give you a register ring here because you have been talking about this for a few days here. Looks like you're still in some calls here. Giddy up. Really good stuff there.
Robert's been doing great.
Yeah, he sure has.
PRFX halted on the verge of 10. That's wow, what a great move in this one.
Yeah, wow. I tell you what, we got a lot of winners on our hands here today.
Just
a lot of winners.
Make sure y'all protect yourselves.
Yep.
All right, so it's cooler's getting to the point where it's at a support level. So let's see if we get a reversal here. Maybe it comes back up, recaptures VWAP. That's going to be the other big thing for cooler. It needs to get back above VWAP if we want to continue trading higher. And then also that's one step. The next step would have to be to beat this consolidation that it put in the pre-market, and that's going to be from about 280 to 315. Was saying CDIO possible?
Yeah, that popped to the highs there.
Webcoin also mentioning IMMX halted on a small move. That is one that we have traded before.
I didn't even.
It seems like it's all the big movers that we had throughout the year are all coming back to visit us.
Yeah, it does. Here's Airship. This near the highs here. Watch that 440 level AISP. Nuke looks like that's trying to go back to 60 here. So nice little bounce there. You were saying that was the 65 EMA. So far it's holding. Nuke, as soon as I started talking about it, it reversed.
Jesus, Ryan.
I know. I can't. I just look what I'm doing here. OKLO, we saw this yesterday. This higher in the morning. What a short this was. Shout out to Stay Focused if you're out there. You nailed this short yesterday. Bouncing here today. I'm seeing Rigetti contracts flow across here. Rigetti resolving lower. TPET is resumed.
Nikolai, I hope you have yourself a merry little Christmas. Well done on your trade or your trades. However you made that 5,000. Well done.
5K trade. You'll get a register ring for that, baby. Let's go. A lot of gains here this morning. You love to see it.
Okay, well, so far cooler not looking too bad. Hopefully we get this this reversal here. Keep your eyes open if it doesn't make it all the way up there. See some pretty good size around 270. That could be a problem for it. But so far,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Devs is open here. It's trying to hold $1. It is right at that support level, as Smoke Tuna is mentioning. But watch this dollar level here. If this breaks, this could go lower. There it goes. Break and lower we go. I do see some size there at 88 cents. We'll see if that holds. Nope, they deleted that in a hurry. Good night, Devs.
Yep. Oh, that's unfortunate for Devs. But at least we had some levels we had a thesis here that we thought if it didn't if it was going to get through 120 and then 130 it could run. Didn't happen. Came back in. So, and man, those upper shadows throughout the pre-market into the this run, that was kind of giving you an indication that this was had some weak hands at the top there. But
I was just going to say, man, and though you called that early too, is before all this action really kind of started, halted to the downside, second downside halt here already on Devs. Those upper shadows really visible on that 1 minute chart. Really kind of sent that lower here. Okay, let's reset and look for something else. What did you have?
So just kind of waiting to see when PRFX is going to open, because that's the one that had some 3 nice candles after getting support from the 65 EMA. Almost got to $10. So out of the halt here, I'm just just wondering when we're going to halt, because I expect to try and push into the 10 area out of that halt. So we'll see what we get with that. Cooler so far. That was a nice little bounce that had around the 240s. It looks like 245 was probably the low there. Trying to get back up to VWAP, but the movement's really slowed down. So, and we need more volume. I don't know that we're going to get the volume to push up through here with the way it looks right now. So we'll see with that.
Yep, cooler looking a little weak there. TPET, on the other hand, continuing to push higher here, right through that VWAP, 344. Deborah's all over this. Looks like we are going higher here. You guys are mentioning a couple more stocks. Elab, this is another one that we've traded. Looks like a great VWAP bounce there. I'm a little late to this one, though.
Seeing somebody mention, Crow was also saying SIDU. That one, well, see, one thing was happening with SIDU is yesterday they had a pretty bad day before the rate decision. So this looks like it could be a bounce play, but also remember, this is a company that's going to be building data centers, in space and on the moon.
VRAR looks like this opened and popped higher here. Looks like it stopped there right at 7. That's going to be one of your new levels. TPET here looks like it stopped right up there, 348, pulling back a little bit. CDIO, this kept going. We talked about this here at 110, 111. CDIO higher here now.
Oh,
that continues to move.
So I guess SIDU also raised capital. That was one of the things they needed to do. So they got a 14 million private placement. They're going to sell 6.8 million shares at 207. Now the stock is over a 2x at this point. I still like space next year. I still like the space theme.
Yeah, I think that we're definitely early on that theme, so you should expect some volatility and some more movement here. Saidu, this is a nice move though off that. You said this was off that private placement, indeed.
Yeah, and this is one of the I don't want to really call it junkier, but it is a junkier stock compared to some of these other space plays. But it could end up being good. This could get a lot more business. I mean, like I said, they've already been tapped to build data centers in space with their LizzieSat 2 satellites. I think was it Lone Star Group? Let me see. There was some group that is paying this company. Lone Star. They are. Sidus was chosen as the exclusive builder for Lone Star's lunar data storage spacecraft fleet. So satellites are going to, and space, I can't pound the table enough. I think that they're going to be a really good theme next year.
VRAR reversing here, halt to the downside, 593 on that. That is kind of a deathly looking candle.
PRFX.
Oh my goodness. This was the trade. Stupid of me not to take that. This was the trade though today.
And I exited a little too early, it seems. So I was looking for resistance at that trend line.
PRFX continuing trade up here, 1191. Let me bring this up here and take a look at the level 2. Not at risk of a halt here. No, in fact, still moving around here.
All right. So who's ready for some crazy levels in PRFX?
Oh, they're ready for that.
Okay. So I see 1612. And 1841 as potential upside targets. So let's write that down. 1612 and 1841.
NUKK doing the thing again here, recrossing through the VWAP. This is trying to go higher here on NUKK. And that is halted. NUKK halted to the upside here right above the VWAP. I am not in that, not trading that one, but man, oh man, what a move.
PRFX is halted as well. There's a ton of halts today. And is this market not crazy enough for y'all yet?
I mean, it's pretty crazy here. And actually, just kind of a look around the market. So we actually came off some of those highs there. S&P futures only up 0.6% now. We were up almost a whole percent earlier, 0.75%. So it looks like we're backing off some of those highs. Remember, one of the things we said here, we want to see if this holds after that Fed, or do we sell some of that back? Let me bring SPY up here. We'll take a look.
Real quick on NUKK, I don't like the way this formation of this price action out of the gate has looked. That's to me, it looks a very clear bear flag. I'd be concerned about it getting above 65 and holding it. If it cannot, then I think we are going much lower back into the 40s.
Okay, here you go on NUKK. And Smoke Tuna, yes, you did. Smoke Tuna here called the support level at 53. Tuna, that is massively impressive. Register ring and a 1-up for you, my man.
Oh, is he? So SIDU also has a SpaceX launch on Friday. I don't think I saw that in their schedule, but thank you for that. Thank you for that information.
Lion here, I'm going to re-enter a small position on NUKK, Ryan, but I put a stop loss and I did it tight. So smaller position, stop loss in place. Looks like you're doing the right things to keep yourself protected. And hey, Lion, after all, I know you're working with gains on that. So.
And listen, folks, even if that doesn't work for him, he's made it so that he does not lose his whole shirt, hat, house over this entire trade. That's the way you want to protect yourself. If you anticipate that you could lose, make sure you limit that loss.
CarMax down from those highs after that earnings report this morning.
Also, this is Lion Atlas. He doesn't really lose that much.
Darden Restaurants, this stock higher here. Darden Restaurant shares trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 EPS and issued better than expected fiscal year 25 revenue outlook. Darden popped on that here this morning. Next leg up here out of the open. Looks like 185, the next spot there.
And what restaurants do they own?
That's, you know what, I don't have those memorized. I got them right here for you though. Here we go. Olive Garden, Longhorn Steakhouse, Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen, Ruth Chris, the Yard House, the Capitol Grill, Season 52, Eddie V's, Bahama Breeze, the Capitol Burger, just to name a few there. 10 restaurant brands. Yeah, maintains a portfolio of 10 restaurant brands there. So Olive Garden, Longhorn Steakhouse, and Yard House, and Ruth Chris, probably the big ones.
Huh. Interesting. I wouldn't think restaurants would be looking that great next year, but we'll see. All right, so still have a halt on Nuke, BPTH, and PRFX. All the other ones, yeah. So Cooler still. There was a good bounce there around the 240s, but it didn't, really hold up as we were, mentioning. Might end up losing that level too. I mean, and by two, I mean also.
So you got, it looks like our chat recognizes a lot of those. Scapegoat here saying Bahama Breeze is fire. I like that name. I've never been to the restaurant. What's that like? Rich mentioning Season 52 is great. Again, never been there. Never even heard of that one.
Well, it sounds like in the restaurant space, they're doing things right. If everybody's beaming about them like that, because usually, if a restaurant isn't great, then they're not great for me for usually the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's hard to give them a second chance sometimes. Yeah. I'm with you on that.
All right.
Nuke still halted. VRAR is open.
We're getting some more support from that 240 area on Cooler.
Devs is open.
I can't say with any certainty that we're going to bounce here again, but it's so far holding up.
You guys are mentioning RR, that's Rich Tech Robotics. We took a look at that. This right at the pre-market high there. 155, that spot there on Rich Tech. Volume actually looks pretty good here as well. QBTS, how are the quantum? Let's do a quick look around some of those quantum names here. Let's see how those are doing. Oh, yikes, not good. Quantum pulling back here. QBTS pulling back. How about QUBT? Let's take a look at that one here. That chart looks exactly the same. That's also pulling back. QMCO, that was another quantum name. Looks exactly the same. All of these quantum names looking rough here after that, after the huge move up.
Okay, so Daniel, you're asking me for, I guess I have no time because it just opened. PRFX is open. It's asking me for opening price for PRFX. That would have been a guess. So it was probably going to be 1223, like where it just was.
Nuke is open now too. NUKK open, moving lower here on that.
Okay, so PRFX now into the 13
might not
handle.
Stay like that though.
Looking for 1612 still on PRFX. Gosh, we're in the 14 handle now. And we're approaching, Jesus Christ. This thing is so funny.
Which one, Nuke?
PRFX.
Oh, PRFX. Sorry.
The one that's blasting through the levels.
This I should be watching this instead of Nuke. I know Nuke just opened up here, but man, PRFX. How much higher? What was the crazy level that you had on this one?
So we've got 1612 and 1841.
Okay. I'll tell you what, that 1612 level looks like it's on its way to that right now.
Yep. 1560, new high. As much as I'd like to be in this one, I am not going to chase this.
Yeah, you can't possibly. I feel like that'll immediately pull back on you if you do that.
You mean kind of how it's doing now?
Yep. Well, I wonder if we can get a level that this settles at. I mean, maybe at that 12 level. I don't know.
Well, let's see. Maybe. Let me see if there's something else I can draw on for some support levels. Okay, so maybe somewhere between 1050 and 1340. seems like it has some pretty good consolidation right in there. That could be a potential support area or demand zone. We'll see what it does. Daniel, you're in at 7 on PRFX. Well, you've 2x'd, my friend.
Yeah, that is a monster move there. I'd definitely be paying yourself.
I love that people are just creating excellent Christmases for themselves.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Oh, well, look at that. Devs died.
Those upper shadows, they told the story. You were all over that.
Yep. Couldn't get through that 130. That was the death toll. Or the death knell.
The death blow. That's
Yes.
a quote from Seinfeld there. PRFX still volatile here. It looks like it. So now we're starting to get some of these upper wicks here, 13. So what do you make of that? You think these get deleted here? Or you think these upper wicks are the sign of something? Looks like 5-minute chart not really showing it. 1-minute chart showing it. Looks like the volume is kind of drying off here too. Never mind.
No, just hit the 1612 target. Just hit that target. Next one, 1841.
Okay. I don't know about you folks. Congratulations if you're ripping it, but moves up and down like this fast, generally speaking, not easy. No, at least not for me.
Thank you, Izzy, for reminding us of the economic data that we're just getting. How home sales, I think that's existing home sales, are up
4.8% versus the 3.4% estimate. Existing home sales month over month for November. Existing home sales for November 4th, 4.15 million versus the 4.09 million estimate. And Izzy mentioning that the NASDAQ's pulling back here. SPY also pulling back here. S&P futures only up 0.5%. That's pared back about 0.25% from where we were at earlier today. So remember, one of the things I said here is it's nice that there's a lot of green arrows here in the pre-market. Looks like things are bouncing. Let's see if that holds up here.
Well, so far that bear flag I was looking at within UKK seems to be resolving correctly. Going to need to go down some more. I would think that somewhere into the low 40s might be where it starts to get support again in order to resolve this bear flag. I think it's going lower from here, folks.
Okay.
And PRFX.
Oh my God, devs! I didn't even realize how bad this was. This is a halt. This retraced the entire move this morning and is halted to the downside. This runs the risk of going lower. Yeah.
Well, RFID. I'm glad that you're getting value out of this, and we hope to see you here more often. We have some really good folks here in the chat that are
we do
that are really on top of things. And
this is and the other thing about some of these smaller names here that I explain to everybody, even when I take calls from people throughout the course of the day, we're not married to the smaller names, but every day we get action in these types of names. So if I know we talk a lot about Tesla here actually relatively muted today, given some of the past sessions.
Ooh, is that one you just had? MESO?
MESO, yeah, MESO. So we'll cover all of these. It doesn't have to be those small gappers. There's just always a lot of action in those every day, no matter what the rest of the market is doing. So open to any stocks here. Really, the only ones I kind of shake a stick at are the penny stocks. But even those, if they're creating movements and setups, we'll take a look at them.
With PRFX, it's not really quite able to get through the highs that it just made around 1663. This may start to form maybe a bull pennant or a bull flag. I think it's going to probably come in. So give this maybe about 10, 15 minutes. It should try to find some support on the way down, and we'll just wait to see for its next setup. Okay, now it's really starting to sell off here. Actually, that tweezer double top doesn't look great. That tweezer top that it just put in on the 5-minute, not looking great. But
no, it doesn't.
Let's just wait and see where this one goes. Finds a bottom, and then it might take 10, 15 minutes, but let's just wait this one out a little bit. Let's just be careful. Yeah, devs. That's awful.
That was really bad. That's really bad here. TPET looks like this halted to the downside after a little bit of a pullback.
Oh yeah, more upper shadows.
APCX right at the pre-market high. It looks like it actually did print above it briefly there. APCX.
Okay.
Yeah, Izzy, that was one of the things we were watching. Sorry, 13. Q's here. Here are the lows from yesterday. These are actually the after hours lows. You're talking about the intraday lows. Those intraday lows here, 515, Q's at 517. I agree with you, Izzy. If this breaks, we go down. We talked about one of the whole reasons why I was saying with this bounce, we want to see if this actually resolves higher, if we retest some lows. I didn't feel like your garden variety sell-off yesterday.
So if APCX, I mean, I anticipate it's going to, kind of pull back a little bit, but if it doesn't, it might find more resistance into the 150 area, more specifically about 155. But that's if it cannot get through this wall here at 148, and it looks like it's chewing through it right now. So let's see if it can get up in there. But I'd expect it to come back in a little bit first.
A little bit of a wall above that there at 150 as well. So. Yeah. Soundhound getting mentioned here, SOUN.
I should.
Ooh, big reversal here on Soundhound.
Oh, really? Is it the one I was saying that we didn't want to get caught in?
Well, we didn't quite get to 24. I can't remember if you were talking about a potential double top there for yesterday's intraday high at 24. That. We did not quite get there, but boy, oh boy, we did kind of pull back here.
Yeah, I didn't, see a double top. Great on you for noticing it. I'm seeing it now on a smaller time frame. But for me, it was just such a very extended stock that I was just, trying to tell everybody to exercise caution in this thing. This is, ready to, be done and pull. Just really extended. A lot of these things are. So understand that they will come back in and correct. XHG had a pop and halted. So we're coming up to a supply zone here with XHG. That's going to be at about 190 to 220. It might find some resistance in there, but if it can chew through that entire area, this thing could have legs.
Let's see if we can get back to that VWAP there at 212. Hamani asking, should I hold NUKK or sell it at a loss? There is no way that me, 13, or anyone else in this room can advise what you do on individual names. At the end of the day, those decisions are all going to be yours. We're just telling you what we're seeing here and what we're seeing on the charts. I'm sorry about that. Cannot answer that for you.
Yeah, and taking losses is part of the trading game.
Yep.
I would, I don't like to say advise, but I would encourage anybody that's actively day trading and does not have some kind of financial advisor or CPA or somebody that can help you on both the long term and tax side. Talk to some of those folks. They may actually help you out with how to manage losses and use them in your favor so that you can offset gains in the future.
Yep. Good stuff there. If you're going to do this, I think it's always a good idea to have somebody else on your side that's, disconnected from what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Makes it easier here.
And I have both those, by the way, and I talk to them regularly.
Yeah.
It's been very, very helpful to have professionals in your corner.
Yeah, I bet. Just running through some more stocks here real quick. Looks like a lot of stuff pulling back here. TPET right at the VWAP there.
Sean asking, what do we expect from AVGO? Let me take a look at that chart. I haven't looked at their chart today. I anticipate once we start to get a recovery, it'll probably do as well, if not better than NVIDIA. I think this is a whole new chip angle for Broadcom. They're in the more of a custom chip space, whereas NVIDIA is, makes a lot of, a one size fits all kind of chip for data centers and AI. So I think, Broadcom may tap into and eat a little bit of NVIDIA's lunch on the recovery. So I think Broadcom is going to be good going forward at some point. But, we're seeing a lot of downside, so I wouldn't necessarily be buying AVGO right now, but it's definitely going to be something that up for consideration once we start to get some support and maybe a basing in the market and turn around. So I like it in the future.
For a Broadcom here, what I'd really like to see, I don't necessarily have expectations. I'll play what the market gives me. But what I'd really like to see here is a pullback towards this 212, 213 level and set up an awesome floating island. The reality here is that this stock, and we covered it here on this show, the stock has had the biggest 2-day run in its history since IPO. These post earnings here, this big pop in the following day. a little bit of a pullback here wouldn't be bad at all. And frankly, if you pull back to this area and we get a floating island set up, that might be one that we can trade. So that's what I'd be hoping for here on a Vago. Don't necessarily have any expectations, but we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. Yeah.
Here's XHG. It's open and it's pushing into that supply zone that I was talking about. It's chewing right through it too. So looking for a breakthrough 220 that could take this stock higher. But now now the price action is really starting to get crazy here. Oh man, what a fun thing this is to watch. XHG, watch for a break of 220. That could be what sends it. Not in this one. Just waiting to see what it does right now because it's had resistance up here earlier. We had a pre-market pop after that consolidation, trying to get back through there at 215. That wasn't successful. Went right back up to 215 just now. Now we're through. Here we go. 220. Need to break through that, and we could take off here. All right. So far, so good. This is going to probably halt.
Yeah, I was going to say this went through 220 here. 222 looks like they brought in bids there. They did the same thing at 228. 230 is now your high.
All right. This is great.
Really good call there on XHG.
It's coming back in a little bit, so we need to see a little bit more follow through with that. But I thought it was going to halt here if we on that volume, but not really. Not really happening. So 230, that's as high as it got. Just outside that consolidation area. We're coming back into it. Need more volume in this one to continue to go higher, but so far that was a pretty good break. Still think we could see some more out of this.
Robert here. Oh, we get a cash register ring for this. Just set another new record for most cash at one point in the trading account. Loving the past few sessions, Robert. Well done, boss. Well done. It looks like you are absolutely capitalizing on that volatility.
Webcoin saying XHG market cap high, 84, almost 85 million as of yesterday, not including this price action today. So, let's take a look at their financials and see how that market cap measures. I have no read on their financials. That's probably right then. I wouldn't put that past you whatsoever. Market cap probably is a much higher than this company's worth, but that's like most of the market right now. Anyway, it's a good point though. And it's still trying to get go higher above that consolidation. This might try to put in a bit of a bull flag. Before it goes higher. So maybe maybe XHG needs a little more time before it goes higher. But so far so good on that breakthrough.
PRFX trying to bounce here. One thing to watch is going to be this value. Looks like it's kind of been pulled back here. This is still trying to go higher, though.
Oh, yeah, it is. Now, this is more along the lines of what we're looking for in terms of, it cooling off and pulling back. So let's see if this is going to be, has it been about 10 to 15 minutes yet? I think that's about the time I said to give this one. Looks like it's trying to turn around. Volume needs to be better if we're going to take out 1663.
Yep, agree with you. EAF, wasn't this Graph Tech? Yeah, this was Jay Rice's little guy here. This thing actually really worked, Jay. That was a really good call if you're still around. Really, really good stuff on that earlier here. PRFX, boy, did the wrong thing there. Okay, so this is still trying to bounce here. We'll see if it gets above those highs. Volume, it's lower, but it's not totally dead, so maybe not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, we need to see this volume get into like 2 to 3 million for every 5-minute candle. That's gonna be enough to push it higher.
Interestingly enough here, Apple at the highs of the day here, 251. So looks like one of the things that I've been saying here on Apple is that this has been, of all of the, these bigger stocks, Apple has clearly been the safest. That proved true again, given yesterday. We did have a move down just like everything else, but Apple retracing a lot of that move here and been strong here today. 251 here on Big Mama, as I like to call it.
I'm just watching the PRFX, see if we get that. Okay, we're in the 15 handle now. This thing might go for that 16 area.
Real quick on Apple, for those of you that like Apple products and use them a lot, I'd be curious to know, what are your experiences with Apple Intelligence? What do I need to use? I've been kind of playing around with it a little bit in the evening, but I'd like to know if you folks have found any really good use cases for any of those Apple Intelligence features. Let me know. Looking at you, Smoke Tuna.
Let's see. This current candle with PRFX got as high as about what? Let's see. What was the high? 1550. Nice round number. Still not able to break out, but trying. Volume just needs to be better.
MSTR getting a mention here. MSTR big time pull, but this looks like the Bitcoin chart here today. This looks like this is following Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin. Let's see what happens. I mean, it's almost at 100K. Are the buyers going to step in and try to keep it above it, or are they going to falter and lose 100,000 and start trading into the 5-digit handles?
I thought it was noticeable. I thought it was noticeable that it held 100K, given what a speculative asset Bitcoin has been, given and the movement down that we had. It was really surprising that it held that. But again, today's another day. We'll see if it can hold it here. It is on its way to that area, 13.
Well, I'm just kind of looking around and seeing what's looking good and what's setting up, and I'm not really sure about some of these.
Yeah, same. I'm going to actually step away for just one sec, 13.
Maybe something happens with CURR, that currency group one, the one that was leaking out, and I said we probably want to wait for this thing to sort of bottom. Seems like it might be trying to do that, getting some support around 250. I might need a little bit more time on this one personally, but it's starting to look interesting, like it wants to turn around and try to recapture some of the levels it made earlier. Actually yesterday, that when it started going. So still waiting on CURR. Want to see a little bit more of a base there. Let's see, TPET. That's trying to push up here into the 4 handle. A lot of upper shadows here trying to get into the 4 handle. Volume needs to be better in order to get into that 4 area, because otherwise the sellers step in and they just take it right back down, as they've been doing for the past 25, 30 minutes. XHG, that one's much lower. That lost VWAP, not looking great there. Dev's trying to turn around after hitting a low of 61 cents. What do Vader was framed? What do you think about Microsoft? I think next year it could be $500, maybe in the second half of the year. I personally like Microsoft. I've got a good size position in my long-term account that I've had since the pandemic.
For which stock?
Microsoft. We were just getting asked about it and what I thought about, or what we thought about it. And I personally
I'll bring it up on screen here.
I personally like Microsoft. It's one of my biggest holdings. Then I was just telling them that I think it'll see 500 sometime in the second half of the year. Right now, it's currently getting support from the 20-day SMA. I don't necessarily know if it's going to hold that or not. It might, but been getting a lot of sideways consolidation in this stock since pretty much all year, actually, to be honest. So we're in a range with this one until we break it, and that range is as low as about 385 to as high as 4. We can call it 465, 470. So quite a large range. Might just end up trading in there for until it makes the move. Back to these movers. Soundhound really starting to get hammered here. Might get support around 1815. Dev's still trying to turn around after that 61 cent support. It's going to need more volume to get above some of these EMAs. BPTH looking like it's trying to turn around as well. That is currently halted. Still want to see a little bit more juice out of currency group, the CURR. That's showing a nice bit of a curl at the moment. TPET is really struggling with getting to 4. Maybe be careful with TPET or adjust your stops in this one in case it goes south.
Watch. I mean, Looks like it's trying to go back up there. I wonder if it takes that out.
It does, but the volume again is really going to tell you if it's going to get there or not. And if we don't see that expand, maybe like 5 million or higher, it's not going to get through. Okay, so there it is. It's now starting to pull, and it's at risk of losing VWAP. The volume, I think, was the big telling sign in TPET if we're going to be getting into the 4 handle again or not. Nuke is not looking great.
Is it nuked?
It's, well, there's certainly some fallout.
Jay Rice mentioned it right here. Nuke. I hope you all got out. It was 140 on Monday. Always remember where these things came from. Smoke Tuna does not use Apple Intelligence yet. Baloo Dog. Apple Intelligence is an oxymoron presently. That's what I'm saying. If you guys figure out any of those really sweet features, let me know. I'll play around with them. Haven't really used it for much yet, though. BPTH, this is halted to the upside. NVNI, halted. The penny stock.
PRFX. It's still holding above VWAP, a good ways above VWAP, but at the same time, it's still looking weak. Make sure your stops are well set for these stocks we're trading. PRFX. So maybe maybe it does try to push beyond that 1663, but at the moment, it's looking like there's a potential for it to roll over. I currently have VWAP at 1084 on PRFX. So if we lose that, then yeah, I think this thing's gonna.
I've got VWAP at 910.
QUBT says Hans.
You want me to pull that up here? I'm just kind of rolling through some of these. OMER. Someone mentioned this earlier. This going higher here. The second volume pop was actually better.
Let's see what we're gonna get here out of PRFX. The setup looks okay, but I'm just a little bit wanting to be cautious about the volume. Volume isn't the greatest at the moment.
BPTH resumed and looks like it's going a little bit lower. Here is PRFX. TPET, by the way, went back down to the VWAP.
Very well could be, Smoke Tuna. I think quantum, space, drones, all the things that we've been talking about that have been super speculative could end up being pretty good themes next year. All right, so we are getting a lot of whipping around in PRFX. Trying to choose a direction. What else? What are we looking at, folks?
Brandon's asking me, Ryan, are you with Apple now? I thought you were with Android. Indeed, I do have an Android phone, but I have the MacBook Pro, the new MacBook Pro.
Getting a mention on
with the Apple Silicon chip. Yep, got it.
Let's see here. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is something we may have traded before because I have
definitely. And I think that this used to have a high short interest as well. Yeah, it sure did. It's down now, but this used to be really high, ALLR.
Well, it went right up to one of my levels at 135. If we break through that, then I have 150 and then 160 is the next upside levels. But, pay attention to what Smoke Tuna was saying. The pop will be sold. Keep that in mind that that's something that could definitely happen. So even though I gave some levels, we may not even get close to them.
Tesla calls being bought into this downdraft here. I guess maybe those are being sold. CADL, you guys were mentioning that. That had a nice move up here. Wow, on volume too.
CURR is starting to look a little bit better here. I don't want to, make a prediction that it's going to start turning around, but it's just looking better. I really would like to see the MACD, curl back up.
Looks like maybe it is putting in a bottom there.
That's what I was kind of alluding to. And this is one of the things we wanted to see with CURR if we were going to do any trades in it. So it might be setting up a bottom. We just need to, see a little bit more little more basing, a little bit more volume increase. This could end up being good, and we could talk about that VWAP recapture, which I currently have at 317. Soundhound continuing to go lower. I mentioned 1815 its potential support level, so we'll about to get that. Looks like. Devs.
Wow, what a pullback! Yeah, that was a big pullback.
Devs trying to come back up here. Currently wrestling with the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. I have the VWAP just under $1 at 99.5 cents. TPET might make a move. It's got a lot of upper shadows, but it's holding above VWAP. That's why I say it might. It really does need to get back above 4.
I was going to say that 4 level is still the level in question here. We'll see if we end up getting that. Really quickly here. Let's see. Where did I see that? What software do you use for the live stream to have 2 webcams plus the screen? We're using Restream. We've used StreamYard in the past, but we like Restream a little bit more.
Yep.
What stocks to buy for Newsom's bird flu state of emergency announcement yesterday? Well, I wouldn't put too much stock into him just in general, but if you are going to trade some of those, they'd be some of the PPE mask stocks, right? APT. Yeah. What was the other one? Lake is one of them. There was another one. These don't look like they're reacting here.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, they might later, but no, not right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a tradable catalyst, to be honest with you.
It would have to. So, remember, these stocks didn't really start to get moving until, there was a lot more fear around that situation. So we're still in the early throes of it, I think, if we are going to get to a bad situation. And we may not even get there.
I was going to say, I think to your point there, it was really kind of the fear that drove some of these stocks when they eventually went. And I think it just might never reach that level again.
The thing about APT is that it's really, really enticing. If you look at the fundamentals and the chart, it's got a pretty good setup to really move on some kind of a news catalyst. So I think it's worth at least keeping on the radar if things do get hairy here. Absolutely, and we might get an early indication out of China how bad it's going to be.
AISP just had that on the screen. New highs here, 520. Airship going into the clouds.
Dev's still trying to recover here. Same with CURR.
NUKK is bouncing.
I think
in
I
a
remember
30 handle. Wow.
Yeah, didn't somebody say that it would bounce at there's a particular level they said? What was
44, I think that was a tuna level. Unless I'm misquoting that, which is possible.
No, Line Atlas said 37 and bounced back.
Gotcha. Okay.
And look where that bounce was.
I was going to say, it looks like, is that what we got there?
Well, not only did we get it, it was 37.37.
Oh, okay.
And now it's 37, don't we?
There we go. Wow. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think that's at this point, as far as new trades go, staying away from NUK. Okay.
All right. So PRFX right back down to VWAP here.
Tuna gave 37 also.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so PRFX, that's currently getting support from the VWAP, but I don't know if this is going to last. MACD doesn't look great. Devs, on the other hand, is trying to come back, really struggling with the 65 EMA recapture. I think that might be the indicator of whether or not this goes back up or not, getting it back above that 65 EMA on the 5-minute.
Marvell coming in a little bit. That's not firming up.
TPET lost its VWAP and going lower. The upper shadows kind of gave you the indication that this may not recover. So far, that is looking like it's the case.
HIMS is trending on Reddit, says Izzy. That is interesting. HIMS, tell you what, that first bounce was really not bad. Since then, it's rolled over here, though.
At this point, don't all those Reddit users use HIMS?
Maybe. XHG approaching the VWAP here. We'll see if we cross through that VWAP. ONDS curling a little bit. I know that really was kind of disappointing after that news here this morning. Really pulled out of the open. Held yesterday's low, though.
Yeah, I think we need to exercise a little bit more caution with some of these bounces, and we might not get the follow through with them. Might get it here with PRFX. It's certainly trying to turn around, but if the volume doesn't continue to expand, I don't know that it gets back up to 1663.
NVNI halted here to the upside. Good mention here, Wis. Halted to the upside.
All right, looks like Soundhound may end up going down to that 1815 level here in just a tick.
Boy, we are not far away from that level 13.
Morning, Walter.
Good to see you as always, Walter. Okay. A lot of interaction here from the chat. Absolutely love all of you. Yeah. Bitcoin did lose that 100K. Yep, we mentioned that. NASDAQ could go. This is exactly what we were talking about. I mentioned it early this morning when there were green arrows across the board. We really want to see if this can hold here. NASDAQ almost pretty much at flat right here. You might have a green to red move on NASDAQ.
AVGO at support, says Robert. Just kind of looking around here, seeing what things are doing. Good amount of sideways action, some of it trying to recover as well. I think the only one that I, halfway like right now is PRFX. If it can continue to hold VWAP and maybe expand the volume, that could be the good one. But
it's been probably one of the better plays here today. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I just don't know that I have a whole lot of conviction because of just the market breadth right now.
Yeah, XHG halted to the upside. That was also a move through the VWAP there on XHG. This was a good call earlier too. Actually, scalped that one. XHG and PRFX. I was a little slow today, so I've only done 2 trades. They're a little bit smaller, but done them all right. Wisdom saying, whatever happened to your bird? Cleo is doing fine. He's actually in the next room listening to some bird chatter. I will say he doesn't like the winter much because outside the window that he resides at, there isn't much bird activity, so I have to give him the attention that he's looking for. He's doing good though. Appreciate you asking.
A VRAR doesn't look great right now. Soundhound's still trying to get some support from around 1875, but still think we might be having a date with 1815. PRFX looking a little bit better here.
No position, by the way, for me in PRFX at the moment. Did trade it earlier, but nothing here at the moment. I'll bring it up just in case.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's certainly putting in a bit of a reversal here. We just need to see it sustain.
And the volume is not great, right? The volume is still kind of low on this reversal, so it's doing it, but
it's low volume. The price action is a little spready, so there's a lot of different things that could end up happening here with this, but. So far, it's looking not bad. It's the reversal's okay, but we just want to see it follow through, and for that, it's got to take out the 1663 on volume, and the volume's just not quite there yet. But it might expand. We'll see. $13 is apparently well. Just chewed that up. Maybe the volume does expand here. It's starting to get going here. 13 handle now. Maybe this is the play.
Let's see if I can find any. This, I guess, maybe right here. 13.
Just be careful with these. I mean, the follow through.
Yeah.
Where was Nuke on my list here? So I'll have to just type it in again. Well, so far it's got a decent bounce off the 37 area, but the volume just is not great in this, and it might not recover.
On which one? PRFX?
Nuke.
Oh, Nuke. Yeah. No, Nuke. That one feels kind of done. PRFX, by the way, it's trying here. Watch that 14 level.
Yeah. That's this is looking pretty good. Even if this move is off some low volume.
Yeah, a lot of these. So you mentioned PRFX 500%. It's dangerous. Yeah, a lot of these that have really run of dangerous. I feel like we've done a really good job of trying to outline that for several days at this point, not even just a today thing. But yeah, be careful with all this. 13 just finished giving you a be careful message. Actually, it looks like we didn't quite get to 14 there. Now you're starting to get this wick action here at the top. So,
you know, it's okay for the moment, but if we start losing that, you know, if we come beneath 13 and cannot recapture the 13 handle, then that's probably going to be your signal to get out.
RDZN here looking like a 190 spot. Someone mentioned this one earlier. We've got some volume pops a little bit later in the day here. This is not looking terrible either. MISO lost its VWAP.
Yeah, so TRFX did lose 13. This could be done. Could be done. Dev's looking better though. This actually did have a nice turnaround though. I don't know how high this one's going to go, but it looks like it wants to at least tap the VWAP again.
XHG open and higher here on XHG. 274, your high print there.
Hey, Zabev, good job getting out there with a win. At this stage, I mean, a win is what you want.
Yeah. Considering how that performed today, a win is good no matter how big the size of it is.
Still waiting for that movement in CURR, CURR. Still, it looks like it's basing.
XHG here might be trying to go through that 274 high. So that actually pulled back, but went right back on there. Volume still elevated here. Wonder if this could go higher here. XHG, bang. Bang.
Nice job in that one.
Bang. There's 3.
Looks like PRFX is still trying back into the 13 handle.
And good mention here, Smoona. Good Lord, Ryan. English. Do you speak it? XHG, don't hold a bag here. So again, this is kind of a mention. If you're trading any of these and you do get some gains in them, don't necessarily be afraid to hold it. I know we've seen some go absolutely crazy. And if you want to stay involved, if you think that stock can actually do that, you know, maybe just hold a little trailer here. But Tuna's mention here about making sure you take your gains is a good one. There goes XHG to the highs again. 320 year high there. Wow. This was a really good call. Tony, really good timing. Smooth. I know. Samuna. Robert, I don't know. Sometimes the words, they just get all jumbled up. I know what I'm trying to say, but damn, I end up screwing it up. Coffee generally helps with that. But.
And let's see, so CURR, if this goes down to 250 again and gets support there, that may set up a triple bottom, and we could reverse and at least go back up to VWAP. So that'll be something to watch for in CURR. PRFX still kind of going here, trying for that high that the candle before it just made, which was 1370. See if we end up getting that.
This is actually a really good mention here. Super. Everyone is looking for the NUKK effect.
Oh, yeah.
So indeed, and when we see some of those big runs, this is not the first time that we've seen it on NUKK, by the way. Once you see that huge runner, you kind of want to repeat that process. But again, they don't all do that, so be careful with that. And the way to correctly play that is how a lot of members here in the chat have been doing. If you're going to buy something, you can pay yourself on the way up so that if you're going to try and hold this through some volatility, you at least have some gains book and some risk mitigated there. That would be one of the ways I would say you can kind of catch some of these that just go absolutely crazy. But don't think that they're all going to do that. They're not all going to do that. Mm-hmm. Don't hold bags, as Tuna was saying earlier. Hymns might be curling up here. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a point where if you try to get on an airplane with too much luggage, they'll tell you to get off.
Or they'll make you pay a ridiculous amount.
Yeah. Go with those analogies, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Your bag is 1 pound over the weight. We're going to charge you an extra $100 to take that bag. You know what? I'll just take some weight out of it. How about that? Yeah. Not paying that. It's good stuff. It is the other thing you're saying here. It's so close to Christmas. People want that extra present. This is also something that's come up on the happy hour show. There are a lot more people at home, it seems, or not at work and possibly participating in the market. So especially on some of these thin names that move around, you might see some wild movement. And indeed, that's what we've seen here, though. Seems like many stocks are pulling back. Yeah.
Look at PRFX now. They're getting some real big upper shadows there. That's not looking good.
Well, to be fair, we had mentioned that it really needed to get 14. It didn't. And then you had mentioned when it lost 13, it might be done. That was a full point ago.
Looks like we're getting some support, possibly in NUKK. Be careful if you're going to trade it.
Yeah, no big gains for me here today, but again, pretty proud of myself for keeping myself protected here. Lion Atlas saying, we will find a new runner. Patience pays big. Indeed. Don't try to blow it up now, forcing it just because the nuke trade went crazy yesterday. Be patient. Tune in every day. We will find one. That is for sure. We'll find another one. Can't tell you when exactly, but we'll find another one.
Yeah, they happen. They seem to happen frequently.
They sure do. Well, what would you say? Maybe 1 or 2 a week at this point, this winter season?
That's kind of been what it seems like. But typically, they only happen like maybe once or twice a quarter. We don't see too many of these. But when a market gets super frothy and toppy like it is, we see some really speculative moves happening more frequently, and you get price action like this in these kinds of names.
VKTX, did we fill this gap all the way down here? Yeah, we did. Okay, so VKTX, interesting. We've been talking about this one quite a bit. This was a really good trade when it was, between 50 and 70. But now that we've broken down here, we've actually filled the gap going all the way back to February, earlier this year. So that gap has been filled. I wonder if this bounces here. Yeah, that was me. Tom, somebody said earlier in the morning that we might have to see if the bounce back holds. We shall see. We talked about that when I gave you the breakdown here on SPY. Said, hey, look, we had a huge sell-off yesterday. Futures are green here this morning across the board. But I'll tell you what, that pre-market, or at least on the SPY here, I guess it was that opening print. Yeah, right here, right after the open. This was the high. This thing hasn't even really looked back. This thing really hasn't even looked back.
PRFX approaching VWAP.
World Peace, please. I'm just going to call you. I want to call you Meta World Peace, but that name was already taken by Ron Artest. Y'all are a bunch of nerds. Fact check true. Yes, definitely. I embrace my inner nerd. Nerds and loving it, says Fairchild. Bingo.
You want to hear some real nerdy stuff? I don't know if anybody's
talk nerdy to me. 13. Let's go.
I don't know if anybody's been watching that Secret Level show on Amazon, but they had a really awesome episode. I don't know anything about Warhammer 40K, but ever since I watched that, I'm like, I need to look more into this because that was cool as hell to me.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so my Amazon has this series that's called Secret Level. They've taken little stories out of video games and made their own. I assume at least that's what they're doing. But they have one for like Pac-Man. They have one for Mega Man. I think Dead or Alive had one, and one of the ones I think it was the 5th episode was for Warhammer 40K, and it was sweet.
Okay.
So
Amazon Prime, huh? I've got that. Maybe I'll do some poking around there. 13. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
That is a recommendation we can give. We want to have TV recommendations. Maybe on Friday, we should do a what to watch segment near the end of the stream where we could talk about things people can watch over the weekend.
Well, I know what you're going to recommend.
You do?
Oak Island.
Well, that's that's on Tuesday. That's on Tuesday. I'm so caught up on that one. I just wait for the new shows. It's wild stuff. Okay.
Back to the market.
Ryan half nerd? No, dude, I'm full nerd. Crimp Biscuit here. Trug, TRUG. This is a penny stock popping to the highs on volume here. Did Ryan get a franchise golf arcade with True Golf? Look, man, I wish I could get a golf simulator. I would be this might be hard to believe, but I would be even more happy every single day if I had a golf simulator at home. Currently, I have to go and pay for that. Love to have my own.
I'm sorry, Robert mentioning that Nike, FedEx, and BlackBerry all have earnings tonight.
Yep.
FedEx, good indicator of economic strength. Get some clues out of there. I think a lot of the expectations for Nike are bearish based on supply chains. Maybe CEO hasn't really been able to turn things around quite yet, which is expected. So probably not a great report coming for Nike. We'll see. Lionel was saying Bitcoin trying to go higher, recapturing 100K. We'll see if that has any follow through.
Regarding what you were just talking about there, real quick, I just gave a link in the chat here. This is a link to the FedEx Q2 earnings, so you can kind of prep for that. One quote from that article here, quote, "one of the most consequential quarters in years," end quote. That came from an analyst regarding those FedEx earnings, so stay on top of that. And then you had also mentioned Nike here. I have an article to share with you on Nike as well. Let me go ahead and grab that. Here it is, right? Nike Q2 earnings preview. Let me go ahead and give you that article. Boy, I'm all lost in these tabs here. Here you go. Here's that article. Quote out of this one. Analysts say athletic brand in the early turnaround journey with the new CEO. So those are some things to watch on those earnings reports. We go back to Pro here. PRFX looks like that's trying to hold 12. I don't know if I'd want to try trading that again here today, though.
It seems like it's trying to break a trend. That's just what it looks like to me, and it's right about there trying to do it. So
Xena at the highs here. Xena pushing this on volume too. Yeah, so Tom mentioning the Amazon strikes here. So I heard about that this morning. I'll be honest, I was a little off sides on this one. I wasn't really prepared for that. From what I understand, those strikes are in Illinois, California, New York. Was Massachusetts the other one? Let's see what I can find here real quick. Operations remain unaffected despite workers at 7 facilities in the U.S. going on strike amid peak holiday shopping. Well, I tell you what, they better hope that their strike actually leads to something, because if you try to do that strike in the middle of the holiday season and it has no effect, you're going to lose any leverage you think you might have.
What's Walmart doing off of that, or Costco, or any of their other competitors? Maybe PDD. What are they looking like? Also, PRFX breaking that trend. Not sure if we're going to get try to get into 13 handle. It's got to close over that if we're going to continue upwards. That's what I'm watching for right now on PRFX. Let's take a look at Walmart. I think it's just consolidating. It's getting support from the 20-day SMA, but it has not been able to break above 96.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wish this had trouble going up when I first started taking the shorts on Walmart here. Does look like maybe we finally reached a topping out point as we've been trading sideways here above that 96 level that 13 just gave you. 93 and a half looks like the downside of that channel there.
Yeah, I think
it's extended. That's my thought on Walmart. It's extended.
It's quite extended. I think the 20-day SMA, if we really start to lose that, I think that's going to tell you where the reversal's coming. Just look at the way it's ridden the 20-day up, over the past year, over this entire year. And every time it's lost it hasn't been for very long. The 50 comes in to help support it, and then it just rips higher. I think the 20-day SMA is the one to watch for that.
Okay. Danny, you were asking about Wolf, WOLF. We haven't brought it up because there's really nothing going on here. I'm wondering what it is that you're seeing. I know we popped a little bit here out of the open. This came back and held yesterday's low. Volume looks kind of low here. Not really a whole lot going on. No news here. So this is why we're not covering it. We're not ignoring you. No need to spam, but not really a whole lot going on.
What's Wolf do again? Is that Bitcoin? That's not the Bitcoin one, is it?
Yeah, this is, I believe, Bitcoin. No, semiconductor. Well, because there's two, right? There's one with the U2. Wolfspeed Inc. is involved in the manufacturing of wide band gap semiconductors. It's focused on silicon carbide and gallium nitride materials and devices for power and radio frequency applications. Now, one thing here regarding this, for those of you that are interested in the drone theme, I highly recommend the episode of the Sean Ryan show that came out yesterday with Joe Lonsdale, one of the Palantir co-founders, who also build Artemis, Empress. I can't remember what the other product is. He basically makes a directed energy weapon that disables drones. It is an awesome episode, and you guys should really check it out. And one of the things that he mentions here was the gallium nitride materials, and it looks like that's what's Wolf does here. I would not be shocked if this also has like a drone application angle.
So a couple of things I see here with Wolf. One is, I think this is getting pulled down off of the Micron earnings, since they seem to be in that similar space. So I think that whole sector just kind of, you see it all the time. A rising tide lifts all ships. Well, so does a sinking tide. It tends to lower them all together as well. I think that what might be is what is happening here. As far as the technicals go, Wolf seems to be putting in a bit of a, at this stage, I would say maybe either a triple bottom or a inverse head and shoulders. If it trades, it's either going to reverse about here, or if it trades down to, maybe the 650 to 630 area and gets support and turns around, that could be bullish on this one. I think we're going to have to put a line in the sand here. Let's say, just give me a second. Let's say 610 is the line in the sand. If we lose that, then there's probably not a trade here. But if it holds that level, I could turn around and start recapturing these simple moving averages.
Okay. Real quick, Jay giving us some Thursday trivia. We got 5 minutes left here. Thursday trivia, what big name stock has been green 2 days in a row, including yesterday? Yesterday, it was pretty much just the healthcare names that were green, right? Unless I'm forgetting one of those. Is it a healthcare name? I don't know what this is off the top of my head.
If by big name, is he referring to
yeah.
Well, I mean, is it like one of the Mag 7s? Is it, or just a large market cap? Past 2 days. Let me think.
Apple didn't finish green yesterday. It's green here today, but it didn't finish green yesterday.
Let me think about that.
Jay, we're running out of time here, so you're probably going to have to give us an answer if we don't figure this out.
Yeah, because I can't think of too many that were.
I mean, everything. Really, it's yesterday that really is kind of doing it. Mega B's guessing Microsoft. I don't think so. No, Microsoft got hit yesterday, pretty good. 25.
I think that all the Mag 7 is not going to be part of part of that, since it seems like they all got hit yesterday, didn't they? That would just be my thought.
Wasn't Palo Alto, wasn't Tesla, wasn't Boeing. Oh, but it was close. Was it Boeing? Oh, it was Boeing. I got it just as you started mentioning it, just as I clicked on it. And this is kind of a trick question, Jay, because this thing was red. It did barely close green. Look at how, Jay, you are a sly guy over there. That's a good one. That barely closed green. Yeah, that's almost a trick question.
Getting a mention from Line Atlas that Nuke is coming back up. It's actually tested its VWAP. MACD is curling. Maybe there's some more life in this. I see 62 as being a potential resistance area. somewhere between 56 and 62, there's consolidation as well. So 62 would be the big level for me.
I've got that VWAP there at 58, by the way.
Okay. Looks like Soundhound is going to gets that support around 1815 that I was mentioning earlier. Got down to 1823, so pretty close. Trug is trugging along. Got a bit of a pull here,
maybe.
Trug. Okay, you're right.
Well, no, I just meant that's the name of the company. Trug. Yeah. NLSP here, this at the pre-market high. This had a piece of news here. Shares are trading higher after company announced submitted a pre-investigational new drug meeting required with the FDA. Is at the pre-market highs. And
it's kind of interesting that Boeing is also doing as well. What is Lockheed Martin doing? Is that up?
That's
down. Perfect. It went down to the 50-day or 500-day SMA.
I was going to say we were looking at that yesterday. We actually closed happy hour out with this.
Yeah.
Looks like it did test that 500-day SMA.
Pretty close. Now with an 18 RSI, this is a very good setup for a bounce.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't necessarily know that I'd go long for the long term in Boeing right now. I do believe that the valuation of this is much better. It's actually probably closer to fair value, if not maybe a little bit under fair value. But with all the question marks surrounding the next administration and what they're going to do with government efficiency, there might be some contracts that don't get served to some of these military companies. So I would say for Lockheed and some of these other military names, there might be a short-term bounce coming, seeing as how they've been beaten up pretty bad to the point where their RSI is under 20. But once that bounce happens, there might be something you want to sell into, because I still think that these could go lower.
Okay. With you there. All right, 13. We are almost out of time here. Yeah, we got 10 seconds left. So real quick, just to answer Tom's question. Yes, Anne-Marie is on vacation, but she did say she's going to join me from her vacation spot for tomorrow's show. So I guess we'll throw it out here. We are anticipating having Anne-Marie on tomorrow, but just in case we don't, you guys heard it here first, I will ask 13 to stick around if that's the case. But the plan right now is yes, she will be here. 13, any closing words for the group? Really good stuff today.
Oh, hey, no problem. It's 10 a.m. I got a jet, and I'll see you folks tomorrow. Make sure you protect yourselves. This is a different market breadth that we're trading into here, and it could be a little bit dangerous. So just make sure you have protection on.
Indeed, that is 10 a.m. Central for 13. It is 11 a.m. here when we sign off. Folks, I'm going to end the stream here. We will see you tomorrow. Take care.